now. Holy shit, folks.
I always remind people, I am suspended for life for minor hockey.
It's my duty to please the booty.
Did you catch a rattlesnake and then drive home with it in your car holding it the whole time?
Yep.
Phil only drinks Coke. He doesn't drink water. I'll fucking quit.
Fugazis.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 435 of Spittin Chiclets, presented by Pink Whitney from our friends at New Amsterdam Vodka here in the Barstool Sports podcast family. What's going on, everyone? Just 10 more days left in the regular season. Weather's starting to get nice. Looking forward to raising hell at the playoffs. What do we got? Live streams, watch parties, all kinds of shit coming. But first, we say hello to the boys first. The Whit Dog, let's go to you first.
I feel like I'm listening to this and fast forward right now. Whit, what about you?
Yeah, he's humming. He came in breathing heavy, crushing coffee. He's just frazzled. I don't know what's going on. But
180 on the heart rate.
Yeah, exactly. It's more like the nerves first shift, and you just got to get run over to get back into the game. That was my thing. A lot of people say, get a hit in, and you'll feel great. Well, I just had to get hit. That's how it went in my world. But what's going on, guys? Yeah, so crazy couple days. Actually, I shouldn't say crazy. Somewhat relaxing turned into crazy. So I shot to Pittsburgh Wednesday morning. Yeah, Thursday. Yeah, Wednesday morning. Grinelli and McQuaid were with me, and we did a meet and greet. Which was great. I mean, good turnout. I would say the line was solid for about an hour and 45 minutes. Met a bunch of great people, Penguins fans, Wheeling Nailor fans, Bissonnette fans, signed a bunch of bottles, so that was a great time. And then I ended up hopping on a plane the next morning, 5:50 flight, dude. 5:50 in the morning. If you're setting your alarm at like 3:50 or whatever it was, like that's a crime against humanity. Army told me there'd be no security line whatsoever. Dude, I got there. The security line was all the way back to the airport hotel I was staying at.
Oh my God. That's
dude,
insane.
Yeah. You know when you walk out of the hallway from the hotel G to like the terminal?
That's bananas.
The line was back into like where the Hyatt was. So I just said, hey, is this a security line? They're like, yeah. I'm like, TSA pre-check? Yeah. I just walked all the way up. And then just said, hey, dude, I'm so sorry. I'm late for my flight. Can I cut you? And he's like, yeah, no problem. Because I would have missed the flight. So that was kind of
You slip him a 20? You slip him a 20?
No, I signed a hockey card for him. Gave it to him. It was nice of me. I was flying to Miami, though, to meet my wife. I don't think we've had two nights without the kids. I don't even remember
just
when.
Just a whack fest.
Yeah. Well, listen. So, well, actually, Miami in its own, what a weird place. Like, I'd never been to South Beach or Miami. I don't know how, but I'd never been down there. The people's bodies. I'm talking men and women. Like, how does everyone look so good? I felt disgusting. I felt like Will Ferrell with his shirt off in old school screaming at everyone in the gym after he burnt himself to a crisp. I was just so gross, like, compared to everyone else. I can't believe the shape these people are in. Now, granted, if you're walking around with no clothes on half the time, you kind of have to be in good shape. But I was disgusted with myself.
Yeah, it's a competitive market down there.
Oh,
silent body shaming.
Jesus.
Everybody's
so the gym,
just
we
fucking
stayed at this
everybody, too.
one hotel, something like that. And gym was unbelievable. What the girls are wearing in gyms nowadays should be illegal.
Yeah, there's a guy, Johnny Swole or whatever, on Twitter and Instagram, all social media. There's just like an insane gym culture now where these girls wear like G-strings to work out. And then they'll record themselves, and the minute a guy looks at the video, they're like, "Oh, this guy's harassing me." It's insanity.
How am I supposed to do? Some planks with camel toes left and right everywhere you look in the gym? I was with my wife. She's like, "What the hell's going on? What is this?" I mean, we got girls sprinting on the the treadmills that you have to like make the treadmills you have to make move.
Oh yeah, those are hard.
Tits are flopping around with these girls.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to do a sit-up. I'm trying to get a
yourself.
sweat. I'm walking on the treadmill. I'm walking at, I got my pace, like 4.7, little bit of an incline. I've moved the incline up lately. So then we went to the pool, and all of a sudden I actually hear this kid. He's like, Mom, can I get a picture? I'm like, what the hell? No, this isn't to me. And I look, and Luka Doncic was at the pool.
Who's that?
He's the stud for the Dallas Mavericks.
Oh, yeah, the ball player. Okay. Yeah.
And so he ran over, and Doncic seemed like the man. He was so nice. And then kind of what I was saying about Ryder in the Bruins locker room, how cool it is to see, your own kids like have such a good time. Like this kid, dude, was looking at the pictures on his phone. He was in heaven. He was the happy. It made the kid's life. He was like a 10-year-old. Looked like definitely a basketball fan. Well, all is good and well. 2 great dinners. Mila and Carbone. Awesome. I'd say Carbone was even better. I'm at Carbone, and all of a sudden taps me on the shoulder. Keith Yandel.
No.
Yans.
Randomly?
I didn't even mention I was down there. I was down there for 2 nights, and, I was just me and Bree visiting her brother who moved to Miami. And so Yans was with Rick Pitino's son. So the Patinos were all getting together, and Yans, they had a nice dinner. Restaurant was amazing. I guess the first one was in New York, then Vegas. We went to the Vegas one after All-Star Game, Biz, and then Miami, and then there's one going to Scottsdale, too, he mentioned. So, well, all is good and well. Great little trip, little alone time with the wifey. And I have Saturday morning planned. We had a 1 o'clock flight. I had Saturday morning planned. A little lovin' once you wake up, a little gym session, a nice breakfast. And, I was almost thinking to go to the gym first before the loving because you just get so friggin' horned up.
You get a little harder,
I'm a red-blooded American. What the hell am I supposed to do seeing these parties?
Get extra
I ended
half
up,
an inch.
I had my whole plan. Dude, 6 a.m., I wake up, I move my neck 1 centimeter.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
Buddy. She jumped out of bed. She thought someone was in the room stabbing me. Dude, I've never in my life been in agony, dude. I was actually like, I think we have to go to the ER. I couldn't breathe. And I had this muscle spasm. Dude, I'm on my side on my phone screaming. Like if I moved like the slightest inch, it would just be like a stab in the neck. You could tell I have a heat pack on my neck, this injury right now. I'm battling through this injury. I am on muscle relaxers. I'm on everything right now. So if I'm not making sense, it's not my fault. Dude, I found this like mobile doctor in Miami. And I called, and they said they could send him over. He got there in like 30 minutes. Dude, I'm dying. I'm holding my neck. I can't even talk. And I said to him, don't take this personal, but are you really a doctor before you put that needle in my neck? He's like, yeah. Like, he could have told me no. I think I still would have taken it. Steroid shot in the neck, tore it all in one ass cheek, and muscle relaxer in the other ass cheek.
Jumping.
Buddy, I went from a 10 out of 10 in pain to like 7 out of 10, so I was able to fly home, but no morning loving, no morning workout, no morning breakfast. So now I'm just battling through this. It's kind of my flu/injury game while on Flexerol or whatever the hell this is. But that was my weekend. Actually, one final thing. Can I read a nice note? Gee, should I read this note?
I was just going to say. I was just
it.
going to say you shouldn't have had the loving before the workout. Maybe that's what did it. You fucked up your neck.
No, buddy, I didn't even get any of it.
No loving.
6 a.m.
Oh, I assume that the day before that you did it, maybe that's where you threw it off.
Oh no, I think the day before I did it, like snapping my head around at some girl's camel toe. Like I mentioned, like it was not my fault either. My wife was doing this. She's like, "Look at these people." So at the meet and greet in Pittsburgh, a woman came up to me with her daughter, and she said she was kind of like nervous talking to me. I'd say she's
Definitely
so nice. Though.
nervous.
She's like, Ryan, I wrote you a letter. My daughter read through it first. She says it's okay if I give it to you. I'm like, okay, I'll read it after. We took some pictures, signed a bottle. So on the car ride, I'm like, let's read this letter, boys. So first off, it comes from Glendale Animal Hospital. So the fact this woman's a vet, you just know she's a great person,
Sweetheart.
right? Veterinarians, besides just raping you for your money, are great people overall. And I say that in jest, but like it's very expensive. But they're great people. They're looking to help animals.
You
So
have a way with words, my friend.
She says,
Need
Whit,
the Millberry button again.
Yeah.
just want you and Biz to know that I love you guys. And RA. First, you two are former Penguins, so I always have a soft spot for former Pens players, except Marian Hossa. But after your interview, I at least forgive him. I especially love Biz as a former Nailer, as we are from Wheeling. So really, I started listening to you guys because I knew who you were, but the chemistry you three have is awesome. And you are both so self-deprecating, ask RA what that means, about your careers in the NHL that it makes you more likable and relatable. No offense, Whit, but you look like you could be an arrogant asshole, and yet you're not. You both, listen, I like this one. You both help me to understand hockey and men better. As a 55-year-old woman, your stories have never offended me or come off as misogynistic. My husband hears you. My husband hears your stories and says, "Yes, men are like that, honey." So it's actually helped my relationship with my husband. You guys are great. You give insight into what pro hockey players actually go through, and it's not always a famous or secure life. Thanks to all of you for making me laugh and learn. Also, my new dog name is Whitney for a few reasons, but one is a nod to you. You joined the Hall of Fame pet names at our house. We've had dogs named Lemieux, Jagger, Sid, Talbot, Letang, Tuca, and now Whitney.
Wow.
P.S. Your wife must be a saint. Keep her happy. Thanks. Nancy Olson. So what a wonderful, or Mary Olson, excuse me. It's in cursive. That's why I was struggling. So that was a very nice note to receive. But yeah, that's my week.
That's a lot to unpack. Wow. That's
Jesus
a lot.
Christ. Who's really buzzing here? Holy shit.
Well, I'm on drugs.
There you go. It is great to get like letters like that though on our DMs or emails or whatever. You know, because we have fun with goofballs with this stuff, but you know, sometimes we don't realize the effect we have on people. Sometimes it's awesome to hear it. Like we talked about the guy who won the Oscar, the kid from Goonies and Indiana Jones. And I got some nice DMs from people who are like married to Asian folks or they have Asians in their family. Just a simple gesture like that that really like they loved it. So it's I know it's
that took a right turn.
No. Same vein. I mean, just people we don't intentionally like reach out.
You're an honorary Asian now, all right?
I think he kind of is Asian now.
Yeah, you are.
Oh my God, my twin brother's been shot. You see
Ray's gonna sign up for karate this afternoon. He's gonna really take a leap of faith.
We think we've helped the mental health of the hockey world, but RA's just helped Asians gain a little bit more respect in our country.
No, and
I respect it, RA.
And also, well, we talked about Hunter Ryan Singh last week, and a lot of folks chimed in about that. That's actually one of Jeff's clients too, Biz. I didn't realize that when we talked about it.
Yeah,
he does an awesome job.
Benino is one of Jeff's guys?
Yeah.
No shit.
I mentioned before, checked out the Real Sports thing, but it's a dynamite segment. Next up, Paul Brisnasty. You got a lot of miles on you this week. Holy shit, boy.
Okay, so your meet and greet story reminded me of ours. I mean, we went to Chicago to the Barstool Bar at River North. It was awesome. It was super chill. There was a lot going on that day where they had a Hawks game against the St. Louis Blues.
Cubs game too in
Wrigleyville. So it was like the perfect busyness. I got to sit down with basically every table, have a little chatter, give them a big deal brew, take some photos, and then there was a bunch of amazing Labatt folk there as well. And then the next day we ended up driving up to Green Bay, a place that I'd never been before. But I'll tell you what, the people there are like the nicest people on the planet. Like, it's hard to actually describe if you've never been there how nice these people are. Just
like, you think they're messing with you.
You think they're fucking with you. That's how nice they are. And we went to the bottle signing, or excuse me, the case signing, although plenty of people showing up with Pink Whitney as well, so showing the love to both brands. The Green Bay Gamblers stopped by. It was a Festival Foods, it was called?
Yep. Festival Foods.
Yeah, so we went there, and the Green Bay Gamblers were actually supposed to be playing a road game, but in the direction they were heading, they were having all those tornadoes. So they ended up canceling the game. There were a crazy amount of tornadoes in the Midwest recently. Some people tons of people lost their homes. It's really a sad scene, but because their game was canceled, they were able to pop by. And afterward, there was a guy there, and I had no other appearances planned, but one of the gentlemen who I believe he's a part owner in Abby's, it's a local sports bar, mostly hockey. He's like, hey, we got the D3 team there. We got a
St. Norbert's hockey team was there.
I think they've won 5 national championships at the D3 level, where there was a bunch of other people there. And he said, hey, listen, Biz, we got a bunch of people that are there waiting. Do you mind popping by? And mind you, at this point, I went 45 minutes over our 2-hour appearance. So I was pretty gassed, and we were hoping to go get a bite to eat. But he said this is one of the bars that the Barstool Fund ended up helping out during the pandemic. So it made sense to go over, and we got to meet some amazing people there. So I thank the guy, although maybe at first I was like, oh my God, we got to go to another appearance. But it worked out perfectly, and it was awesome. And it was good to chat with all the local folk. And
shout out to the St. Norbert's hockey team too. Right when we walked in, before they didn't even know we were coming, and they already had the beer pyramid of Big Deal Brews going.
They were buzzing. But the one thing at the appearance at Festival Foods that jammed me up, and I was almost a little rattled, was this little kid came up. He looked exactly like Johnny Gaudreau, and he goes, "Hey, Biz, I got a surprise for you." And we ended up posting on our social media, and he pulls out 2 belts that are together. And at first, I was kind of like, oh, okay, like, I'm a little freaked out here. What's this guy going to do? And then he challenges me to an iguana wrestling match.
No, bro. Did you do it?
No, fuck no, I didn't do it. This little guy looked a little bit intimidating, and I've never iguana wrestled before. And for some people being like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is something that, Charlie McAvoy and a bunch of guys were doing inside the bubble, or were they doing it
I
at
think
college?
they were doing it at World Championships first. And
Yeah,
then
and,
it
then,
was
and
right
then they
to the
did it at the
bubble.
rookie party.
And then they did it at rookie party. So this kid challenged me, and I felt bad because I was so jammed up and stunned and disgusted at the fact that this guy just challenged me to an iguana wrestling match at my signing. I kind of pigeon tossed him. So if you're out there and you're the guy who challenged me, it was more so of my own insecurities at the fact that I didn't want a guy the size of Johnny Gaudreau dummying me in a physical altercation. So
How about I hurt my neck staring at Triple G's? Imagine if I did an iguana.
there you go. There, so
I
it
would've
almost
died.
I avoided the neck injury this weekend, and you went full bore at it. So nothing really much here, RA, on my end, other than I've been working my dick off the last week and a half. I did 2 Coyotes broadcasts, 2 TNT broadcasts, a lot of flights. I was in Chicago, Green Bay, obviously. And then now in New York City filming a bunch of stuff for the FDNY, NYPD. We're doing some commercials with the guys and really interacting, in which we have 2 of the guys who ended up fighting a few years ago. And when I say fight, guys, these guys aren't doing the jersey jabs. They're chucking haymakers at each other. We're going to talk a little bit later about this FDNY, NYPD game that we have coming up on the 15th. But there is a genuine hatred for one another, and we cannot wait to broadcast it. Even so much so that how popular it is. When I was doing TNT on Sunday, Wayne was there, and I don't know if he caught wind of it, or I don't know if Ty brought it up, but he says he wants to come on during the first intermission with us. So Wayne Gretzky is going to come on for the FDNY NYPD broadcast April 15th at UBS Arena. That's a huge elevation. And of course, it's raising money for a great cause. And these guys are jacked up. It's their Super Bowl. They do it once a year. And currently right now, FDNY unbeaten in 5. So we're going to get more into it later with the 2 guests we have coming on.
Documentary comes out this week too. Wednesday, 6 p.m. on the the Spittin Chiclets YouTube channel. The documentary. We've been following both these teams around for the past year when they travel, in the locker room, basically everywhere. And this documentary is one of the coolest things we've ever done.
And it's the 49th year it's been in existence. They had a few years ago, they had the 20th anniversary of
9/11.
Of 9/11. That's when that big scrap happened between the 2 guys I sit down with. But other than that, we're excited for the broadcast, and it was great to spend some time with those guys. So a crazy week and a half in my book, RA. I can't even remember what the fuck I ate this afternoon.
I did not much of anything this weekend. Just watched a lot of hockey.
Oh, great input.
That a boy, all right.
Good job.
What do you want me to fucking lie? But Mr. Granley, what did you do all weekend? Anything fun? Better than me, I hope.
I also ran into a close personal friend at a restaurant in Chicago. I sat down, long flight, sat down, in my sweats, looked like shit, little high, sit down at a pizza place, and I sit next to my close personal friend, John Mayer, who was having dinner with Alex Cooper. So it was very awkward. I was very scared. I don't think I picked my head up from the table one time, but it was awesome. I'm a huge John Mayer guy, so it was cool to see him. Once again, didn't say a word. But other than that, crazy week. I think I put more Delta miles on my card than ever this week. I was in Pittsburgh, then to Chicago, then to Green Bay, then back to New York in 4 days, and couldn't be happier to do it. The fans were awesome.
Did that look like a Bump and Uglies dinner or a friend-to-friend dinner?
It looked like a business dinner. It looks like some sort of
That's
business
how
dinner.
it all starts.
And the reason of intimidation was because McQuaid sat down with me and he asked, he's like, you think Alex Cooper remembers you, right? And I was like, no shot. If I walked up to her, there is a 0% chance she would have any fucking clue who I am. Also, though, the reason I noticed all this, John Mayer, he travels with security. Big guys in black suits that just surround his table.
He's big time, man. He's huge.
Yeah.
He's like a world-renowned artist.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't. Getting intimidated would be weird. I mean, they're just people.
I'm a pussy biz. We've learned this. I'm a loser. I'm a pussy.
Well, at least you have some input today. You're a pussy. All right, what do you got?
I was going to ask you, how was Chicago? I know a lot of people have been saying it's not the same place it was a few years ago. Did you guys feel it was still Chicago or what? I
don't hang around Chicago enough to know it to be any different. If you're talking about like pre-pandemic to post-pandemic, it maybe didn't look as vibrant, but
I would agree, RA. That's funny you say that because the second you said it, it kind of clicked in me. I'm like, that it was a little off. It was a little, I mean, once Barstool Chicago gets out there, it'll be a little different. But yeah, it did seem a little off to me, RA.
Yeah, it's a great spot. We were talking about bachelor parties last week. Biz, I went there, I want to say 2003. It was dynamite place to go for one. It was Kerry Whit versus Roger Clemens. Clemens was with the Yankees going for his 300th win. Dynamite time. So then we took a bus. The Red Sox were playing in Milwaukee. So we got a bus, drove up to Milwaukee to see the Sox. We're in the parking lot at whatever stadium Milwaukee plays in. All of a sudden, a bunch of like strippers come on the bus. We had strippers on the bus in the Milwaukee parking lot before the game. And I walked in. I was so hungover, couldn't drink beer, so I smuggled wine into it's the Miller Park, it's called. I had a Fuji bottle, man. You know when you're too hungover, you can't gas a beer at 3. You got to go with the hot
I'll
stuff.
tell you right now, I've been hungover. It's hard to drink beers. I couldn't drink wine, though.
Really? Yeah. I don't know. It seems like an easy gateway to fucking chase the
White wine?
But no. I'm a red guy.
Oh, okay.
Always a red guy.
Before we go any further, you know what I'm here for, and that's to bring up my love and passion. New Amsterdam Vodka's own Pink Whitney. It's got my name on it. It's incredible, the feedback, the amount of people that drink it, the amount of people that enjoy life when Pink Whitney's in the mix. And if you haven't tasted it, please go out, grab a bottle. You'll enjoy life. You'll have fun with the people you drink it with. It tastes phenomenal. You catch a nice buzz. And at the end, you just get to get another bottle the next night. That's how this works. We have people sending us pictures of hundreds of empty bottles around their apartments. Dorm rooms packed with Pink Whitney. Nips being brought into sporting events. It's the best drink you can drink. It's the best drink for winter. It's the best drink for summer. It's the best drink on a golf course. It's the best drink on a boat. It doesn't matter where you are. The taste, the smoothness, and the color all combine into one to make a powerful drink that brings you smiles and brings you joy. Without New Amsterdam, we don't exist. Without New Amsterdam, Pink Whitney doesn't exist. And thank you so much for supporting our brand and buying that drink and catching a buzz while laughing with the fellas or the ladies. Because we know the ladies love the Pink Whit. Maybe not me when I'm pink from in the sun, but they love the drink. So thank you to New Amsterdam. Back to the podcast.
All right. Get to a little bit of hockey here. Regular season ends in 10 days, like I mentioned. They get 2 days off. Then the playoffs start on Monday the 17th. We got 9 teams already in the playoffs. Atlantic, Metropolitan, Pacific, 3 leaders. And basically the Central, the 3 teams are going to get in. It's just a matter of getting a couple more points. So 4 wild card spots left in the East. You got the Islanders, Penguins, Panthers, and Sabres still alive. In the West, Seattle, Winnipeg, Calgary, and Nashville. But we've been goofing on for a little while here. Florida and Calgary, calling them like the trade victims. But Whit, they're putting it together at the right time right now. I mean, Calgary, this Tyler Toffoli, dude, he's been out of his mind lately, fucking on this little streak they're on. Do you think they get in, Whit? And if so, people are going to be afraid to play them.
Yeah, and what's weird is that it's probably Vladar that might get him in. And you mentioned Toffoli, a career year. I think he's already at career high in goals, career high in points. And if you think about that team and how much of a struggle it's been for so long in this season, without him, I don't even think they're close. I mean, late game tying goals, game-winning goals, always like physically in the play. Just definitely the MVP of that team this year. And Vladar stepped it up big time in terms of Markstrom kind of just hasn't been able to figure it out this year. He got a little hot and then cooled back off. And we've talked enough about the kind of the awful communication or relationship.
They're in hate fuck mode right now.
Exactly.
It's like they've turned so hard on them where now the success is coming, much like in LA where they pigeon tossed them out of the meetings and had that much enough of them. I think the team is so infuriated by him now that they're winning. It's fine. His master plan, playing chess, not checkers, is finally working and he wins. It's the classic, just like the Iguana guy. They brought out the belt, they got it around, and he's getting the classic hate fuck. Daryl Sutter special, baby. And that's how he wins Stanley Cups. That's how he does it. I would be fearful if they become an 8 seed. That's playoff style hockey. They have 2 great goalies who I think the word Whit has been around town is that they were getting a little bit mind fucked by the mind games that Sutter was playing. And from a goaltender's perspective, you're on an island. You know,
that's the last thing you need. You don't need mind games.
This league's hard enough with the amount of power plays that teams are given, the amount of offensive players you have to play against. Christ, you're in a fucking division with McDavid and Leon. I mean, let's start there, right? And all of a sudden you got Seattle, the way that they're pumping in the offense. So overall, I look at them exactly like I look at an Islanders team in the East. just the worst possible wild card matchup. Where if I'm a division winner, I'm looking at Seattle, I'm looking at Winnipeg, and I am licking my chops. I do not want Calgary getting in, but credit to them for figuring things out. I still don't. I mean, the fact that they had to muster up a win against San Jose, a game in which they were down in, it's still bizarre this late in the season where they're.
It was Anaheim, right? Last night you're talking Sunday.
Oh, I thought it was San Jose for a sec there.
It was Anaheim.
It was Anaheim.
And we had mentioned that Calgary was the only team in the league not to come back from being down going into the third period and win a game. They've done it 2 games in a row now.
There you go.
A complete Chiclets. Exactly. Whatever we say, the opposite happens. It's pretty much how this show's gone forever. Game of the season coming up. I believe it's on
before
Wednesday
we
night.
Move on from Calgary, are you talking about Calgary?
We're not moving on.
Okay,
We're not moving on.
Sorry. My apologies, sir.
Mind your business. Take a lap. Game of the season, Wednesday night. Calgary Flames in Winnipeg. Ooh. That could end up determining who the number 8 seed is. Somehow Nashville's still alive. They have a huge game tonight, Monday night in Dallas. But Winnipeg's, I think they have like 3 days off, maybe longer. And Calgary's playing in Chicago or against Chicago the night before. Then they got to travel, and then they play that Wednesday night game against Winnipeg. So Winnipeg has no excuses whatsoever when that game comes up. It's a back-to-back for Calgary. Winnipeg has just been horseshit for months. They got 2 huge wins this weekend. They beat up on Detroit bad, and then they crushed Pasha's scumbag Devils bad. 6-1, maybe 6-0.
Yeah,
6-1. So I think Calgary ends up getting in, and you said exactly what was on my mind. I want to play Seattle. I mean, I don't mean to kind of dog on Seattle, but first time to the playoffs, not as strong as they were the first half of the year, the second half of the year, and the Pacific winner is going to end up getting the 8th seed. I think the Pacific winner will end up with more points than Colorado, Minnesota, or Dallas. So that means the Central matters so much because instead of having to play Mini or Dallas, right, you get to play Seattle if Colorado can hold on. So the seedings really matter right now, I think, in terms of division winners.
I think it matters most in the West right now. And keep in mind, that's with the 2 teams in place right now. If you're the Edmonton Oilers and you get to play the Seattle Kraken, or if you're the Edmonton Oilers and you get to play the Winnipeg Jets, you're licking your chops at that matchup. And Whit, I don't want to go back to it too hardcore. That's why I brought up the LA situation. Whereas like that is a atrocious matchup compared to the other 2 teams I'm mentioning.
You know what else was atrocious? Was you trying to talk about all the guys with 10 goals on your team when Edmonton actually has more guys with 10 goals on their team?
What does me mentioning and talking and pumping LA's tires have to do with the fact that you had no knowledge of the depth of your team?
I know the depth of my team. I didn't know exactly how many 10 goals.
Well, then you should have looked it up.
Goals, but you're trying to talk about how scary LA is, and your entire point was mute, considering we have more guys with 10 goals. I didn't realize it at the time. We then went on to beat LA 2-0, easy win.
Okay,
for us. We're 9-0-1 in our last 10, and we are not worried at all about the Kings. You are wrong.
Okay, that was a funny rant.
Good rant.
Great rant. I'll applaud your rant. Now going back to the mute point, like I never said that Edmonton didn't have depth. I'm talking about the fact that you're saying that the team didn't scare you. Where I'm saying, buddy, in that game that you guys won 2-0, you were outshot in that game. Where Skinner's been playing great, and that's the one big turning point in which now I'm like, okay, this team is a wagon, and they're probably, in my opinion, the best team in the West, specifically when they're getting that type of goaltending. But they're going up against a very difficult opponent that has experience come playoff time and is used to being able to shut down top-end guys. Kopitar has experience in that. What did Nathan McKinnon say when he came on our podcast when we asked him who was the toughest player in the league to play against? Who was his answer? Who was his answer?
But what was that?
No, he
3
didn't. He
years
said
ago?
Deneau.
Was that
he
3
said
years ago?
Yes. It was Deneau for Montreal, and he's gotten better offensively. So I was not taking anything away from Edmonton when I was complimenting LA. I was simply saying that of all the teams possible for you to be matched up against, LA would be an atrocious first round matchup. Hey, you don't think them going to 7 games with LA took a little bit of wind out of their sails last year against the Colorado Avalanche? I'm not talking.
They looked brutal against Calgary the next round.
I'm just saying, from an overall saving energy for this massive playoff run, atrocious matchup. Going back to Calgary, though, guys, we know it too. Daryl Sutter, he brought that LA Kings team in as the 8th seed, And what did they do? They marched all the way to the final. I think they only had 3 losses that entire playoffs. So Calgary Flames, folks, look out. Look out. Sorry that Edmonton had to get all the attention.
To not just talk about Edmonton the whole show, which I pretty much could, which based on how good they are right now, I will agree with you. I would much rather Winnipeg, Calgary, or Seattle than LA.
Oh God, I would fucking pay large amounts of money to see them win the division and then have to play Calgary. That would just be...
They would fucking smoke Calgary.
I know, but just the allure of getting the Battle of Alberta back when you look back to 6 weeks ago, there wasn't a snowball chance in hell that would have been a matchup. And all of a sudden now you're getting a rematch of last year with Calgary having this much fucking pressure on them. The thing that would scare me about that matchup is the fact that there's zero pressure on the Calgary Flames. So be careful what you wish for, Whit.
But final thing, in the McDavid magical moment of whatever, what the fuck am I trying to say?
No, you're good. We get it.
In a mind-blowing McDavid stat, he is the first player in NHL history with 5 10-game point streaks in one season. The first to ever do it. Gretzky was the only guy with 4. So McDavid has 5 different 10-game point streaks this season in a legendary MVP year, with Leon probably the second best player in the world right now. It's an amazing team that's really kind of figured something out. And if people actually still are out there and don't think they could win a Stanley Cup, you know absolutely nothing about hockey.
There was also a weird stat about that one night. It was when Leon had a hat trick. There was 5 other players around the league to have one. And then there was there
was 5 hat tricks and 5 shutouts in the same night.
There you go. There, I knew it was somewhere. Thank you very much, Ryan. For somebody who's on 4 or 5 different drugs right now, you are performing quite well, my friend.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, Biz. Leon Draisaitl, Noah Gregor, David Pastrnak, Alex Tuch, and Carter Verhaeghe. The last time there were 5 hat tricks in one day back in March of '89, and there were only 2 days in league history that had more. One day in '84 had 7, and way back in 1917 had 6. So pretty cool record.
Nice little nugget, all right. Thank you.
A little bit. Oh, absolutely. You mentioned Winnipeg. We might as well talk about them now. Rock Bowness, after they blew that game in San Jose, they just looked awful. I don't think I've ever heard him say anything remotely like that in all his years of coaching. If some of these guys think they've given us everything in their tank, they're dreaming. Like, I don't know who he was putting it to. He didn't name names, but since then they went 2-0. 6-2, they beat Detroit, beat Jersey 6-1. Currently in the wild card. But same question, Biz. Does Winnipeg get in? And if they do, is anybody going to be afraid of them?
If I was a betting man at this point, I would take Calgary. I just feel like they're going to have some weird mojo going. But to contradict myself, sometimes you see this happen. You see these player coaches pull out that card, which they don't do very often. We saw it 2 times in a week from 2 desperate coaches. We saw Paul Maurice in Florida, and then Bowness call out his team via the media. So it's been a very weird year for the Jets. I mean, everyone thought that, coming in that it was going to maybe not look so pretty with all the changes in the offseason, and then maybe getting Bowness. I think there was a lot of question marks about that, him being an older coach, but he can easily work his magic with that veteran experience. Everything turned around great. And then you had Morrissey, who was he might even still be a Norris candidate in the top 3, if not just falling out for the back half of the season. But Hellebuck looked like himself again. But just sometimes you go on these skids, man, and other teams are playing desperate, and then not all the guys in your lineup are giving you everything in the tank. At a certain point, it doesn't matter how nice of a guy you are in the locker room, you got to use that card. And he did it at the perfect time, just as these other teams are starting to tread in the right way. So let's see if it's a last-ditch effort to get them into playoffs. But Whit, if I'm a betting man, I just don't have a good feeling about them getting in.
Yeah, if they didn't have Hellebuck, I'd really be down on him. But just the fact that he can steal you a game in these final 5-6, that gives them a good chance. What was crazy about that press conference was, if anyone watched it, you kind of have to see the video of it, but apparently he's been telling Scheifele he has to shoot the puck more, and that Scheifele's constantly kind of looking to make the perfect play or hold on to a little bit more. And one of the reporters mentions that Scheifele said post-game, like, yeah, we just got to have better control. We got to hold on to it, make sure we get better chance. And he rolls his eyes. He just rolls his eyes like disgusted. Well, what did he end up doing? He moved Scheifele over to the wing and he ends up playing him with Wheeler and I think Dubois. And Scheifele got, I think, his first goal in 10 games. Wheeler got his first in 20, and then Kyle Connor got his second in 15 games. So their studs had just totally dried up. And by moving Scheifele over to the wing, I read that Bowness told him, listen, if you don't feel like you're in the game enough after the first period, just tell me. I'll put you right back on center. But they started buzzing around, and then all of a sudden it was Ehlers playing with Wheeler, and I forget who was on the other wing with them. It wasn't Niederreiter. I'm drawing a blank, but they figured something out by getting that powerful top line with Connor and playing with Scheifele on the wings, right? So I think that's a huge deal because their offense had just had nothing. And all of a sudden, 2 games in a row with a 6 spot, it's just one of those things. You get confidence. People think it's crazy. You can play the exact same way and get a couple goals as when you were playing when you weren't scoring. And that next practice, you feel lighter on your feet. The puck feels better on your stick. You just feel like you got more time and space. So hopefully that kind of figures it out for them and gets them going because let's not forget, What would we say? December, we were talking about they could win the cup, right? And Josh Morrissey's having maybe the most underrated, not talked about great season in hockey history by a defenseman. He's got over 70 points, and he's led that team. He's been tough. He's been physical. We saw him take the cross-check in the mouth from the guy in L.A. I'm drawing a blank on who that was last week. So it's a team that definitely needed those 2 wins. And one of them being against a real good Jersey team. So we'll see what happens. It's all about Wednesday night. I think whoever wins Wednesday night between them and Calgary is going to get that 8th spot.
Well said, my friend.
That was Blake Lizotte, too, who cross-checked
Blake Lizotte.
Right in the yap.
Got him.
One other note, when Calgary came back on Sunday versus the Ducks, that was the 139th multi-goal comeback this season, a new NHL record. There were 138 back in 2019. It's been insane, man. Imagine that, 139 comebacks.
You guys see the girl who got the Zegras tattoo, but she got it with the 46, and then he had the number change? She was on the glass the other game.
Where's the tat?
I don't even know if she knew. I don't know, but she had a picture printed out of the tat on the sign she brought for warm-up. So
that's like all the people who get Stanley Cup champion before the playoffs start, and then the team loses in the first round.
Security.
Donkey tat. All right, we
Get
just
the
talked
old
about
restraining order ready there, Zeegs.
Cable
guy.
Sunk. Going back to the Panthers, Monday last week, they went up to Ottawa, the battle of the Tkachuk brothers. Panthers got smoked 5-2. Well, Panthers were playing Toronto Wednesday. Big Walt, Keith Tkachuk, on the radio, talked about his son's team. He said, I'm a little disappointed in the Panthers. They're a soft team, and they're getting everything they deserve right now. Matthew is pretty devastated right now with where they're at. Guys, have you ever heard or know of a player's father or something like that going to the media and saying this stuff? It's great content. I'm
going to hop in here. I don't really look at it like the guy's father when the guy played in the show and scored 500 goals. It's more like anything hockey related he can have an opinion on. I love the fact that he went on there and said that the Florida Panthers, from watching all the games, was playing like a bunch of pussies. I think that's amazing. And I have no problem with it. If it's Cam Bissonnette hopping on TSN to talk about the Leafs power play, I'm probably going to get a little concerned. But I do not view Walt. I view Walt should be in the Hall of Fame at some point. One of the best American-born players, has scored 500 goals. He can say his piece. I loved it. I think it sparked the boys, and they've looked like a different team since. I want to say that next game, though, or was it? Yes, because they ended up playing the Leafs, and they tied that game up late, correct?
Yeah. And they actually the Panthers took a 1-0 lead. Toronto got 2 quick ones, but they challenged the second one, and that's when Maurice flipped out, Paul, during the challenge.
An all-time flip out on the bench. Quickly, Biz, I would tend to agree with you that because of Keith Tkachuk's career, you don't look at it like a father. But on the other hand, I kind of did look at him as a father because of how he brought up Ottawa, and he brought up his other son's team, and he said, you know what, I watch them, and they may not have the most talented team, but they fucking bring it every single night, and Florida has none of that. So that kind of it almost brought his other kid into it to kind of show that when he's watching these two teams play, it's night and day different effort given by the.
If
two
he
clubs.
would have been like Brady's got a bigger horn too, then I say okay, then I view it as a father. I don't. I think he's just comparing two unbelievable hockey players from a non-biased perspective. That's the way I view it. And from a Florida Panthers perspective, you got bigger fish to fry. You got Brooks Koepka waving cones at your players in the crowd. Now,
well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in 1 sec.
We're gonna get to that later. Are you gonna go back to that game specifically?
Yes.
I was gonna say Toronto worked them in the first period, and they were hanging on by a thread. They were up 1-0 just because of this goaltender that they got in there. And I'm drawing. Is it Leon? What's his first name?
Alex Lyon.
Lion. You call him Lion. He was standing on his head, and then in that second period, right away, as you mentioned, they got two quick ones because they were still playing like ass. That's when he flipped out. Luckily, they ended up challenging it. Paul Maurice looked like the mom whose kid had lost the state championship in wrestling. I thought he was going to snap his glasses.
He was losing his mind.
He lost his mind.
Like you can read the lips. I know that hasn't worked well before this season with certain instances, but he's literally screaming at them, "You're playing like fucking bitches! You're playing like fucking bitches!" Up and down the bench, and guys are sitting there holding their stick. He is screaming. He's ripping the glasses off. He can't even breathe. At one point, I think he yelled, "Jesus Christ!" And the thing was, he knew the goal was getting called back. He said, "I already knew it was offside, so luckily it just gave me a chance." I think after he told reporters it was a cleanse. He's like, I don't think, he goes, if I could have yelled louder or swore more, I would have, but it was physically impossible. But they kind of picked it up. And Biz, your guy that you pumped his tires last week, Brandon Montour, gets the OT winner.
Oh, my God.
Just a monster season by this guy and a huge win for Florida. So, I mean, I don't really have much expectation in the Panthers. Do you think they get in?
I don't know. I just wanted to quickly mention, did you see the clip too of not only Maurice, of course, pulling out that card at the perfect time and doing that cleanse in order to wake his squad up, but in overtime there was a timeout called, and in that timeout he's telling Montour, he's saying, fuck, when he gets it, and points at Barkov, he's like, just fucking go. Just fucking go. And just that communication gives him the confidence where, like, now as a player, you're like, okay, I got the green light. And sure as shit, he's now passed Keith Yandel as the all-time leader in a single season for the most points as a defenseman in Florida Panthers history. So just the Uyghur trade making more and more sense by the day with the performance that Montour's put on, but just overall an incredible game and some pretty magical moments in that one too. If you back up, it was Reinhardt's who scored in the dying minutes too. So their stars coming to play at the perfect time. There was one question you just asked me right before that. Though,
if you think they'll get in,
Pittsburgh's really finding a way to try to fuck this thing up.
It's unbelievable, dude.
It's pretty wild, and just not being able to figure out how to get a point in not only the Detroit game but that Boston game after being given that gift of the Crosby goaltender interference.
Oh, so you thought that should have been no goal?
Are we going to hop over? I think we've covered Florida, right? I think we're ready to go.
Let's jump over.
Oh, we'll go back. We'll go back to Florida for 1 sec.
Okay.
Before we go any further, here's a word from our friends at The Score. Hello, Canada. This episode is brought to you by The Score Bet Sportsbook and Casino. The Score Bet is the best sportsbook for the hockey obsessed. With a wide variety of markets and daily specials from us at Spittin Chiclets, it's got you covered for everything on the ice. So if you're in Ontario only, download the ScoreBet app and create an account today. You can build and follow your bets directly from the Score Sports app for the best possible experience. With the playoff push coming up, you don't want to miss anything. And the ScoreBet also has you covered for all your other favorite sports and players. Plus, there's tons of iCasino games any day, anytime. That's the ScoreBet. Download today and see how the best sports app, period, does sports betting. Please play responsibly. 19 and older. Ontario only. Gambling problem? Call COMEX Ontario at 1-866-531-2600.
So for people who don't know, Brooks Koepka was seen at the Panthers game holding up a giant orange cone, just screaming at Ekblad. Like, I don't even know what he was saying to him. I don't remember exactly, like, what was coming out of his mouth, but he was basically like, you suck, just holding up this cone. I don't even know where he got the cone. He's dressed like an absolute asshole with all of his buddies with like tracksuits on, unzipped. I don't know if it was like Italian night at the arena or something like that.
Big Cat was in there. He was with Big Cat.
Italian Fest.
Big Cat was there?
No,
Jumpsuit
because he's the
January.
jumpsuit January guy.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
always
yeah,
wearing
it's
those
March.
greasy
It's April.
tuxedos.
So I was
Sorry for the
watching it,
joke.
and seeing it go viral. I'm like, oh, him and Ekblad must be buddies. But I was still like, it's kind of weird, like just dogging on your buddy, yelling like that. Dude, so they asked Ekblad the next day, like, do you know each other? He says, we are not friends and we never will be friends. So I said, holy shit. I almost made a video on Twitter. I said, this Brooks Koepka is one of the bigger assholes in pro sports. I'm talking an absolute clown. All he ever says, I don't care about golf. I don't care what anyone thinks about me. He cares what everyone thinks about him. He does. He tries saying, if I could do it again, I'd go back and play baseball. Bro, you've won 4 majors in golf. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't have done shit in baseball. Who the fuck would ever act like that at an NHL game, let alone a Hall of Fame golfer screaming at the top of his lungs at a guy for the... By the way, he called them the Peas. He goes, I'm a big Peas fan. Who the fuck calls the Panthers the Peas, bro? You must be a huge fan. I've never heard them called the Peas in my life. Brooks Koepka is one of the most unlikable athletes in the world in my mind. He just thinks he's so cool. He thinks he's fucking so sweet. Dude, you're good at golf. You're an asshole. He dyed his hair blonde. He looked like a Walmart
Diplo.
version of Eminem.
Yeah, Diplo.
He's just I've seen him before. Like I remember a clip
Discount
went viral.
Diplo.
He yelled at a kid who was like videoing him on the course. Like, do I come to your work and video you? No, dude, you're at an NHL game. You've won 4 majors in a sweatsuit, screaming at a defenseman on the Peas, which isn't even the name of their team. I root against Brooks Koepka as hard as I've rooted against anyone. I'm telling you, this guy, and mind you, the whole Bryson DeChambeau Brooks Koepka thing, because I actually can't stand either one of those guys. They're perfect for each other. If you remember, it started like I think they had made up, and then it started again when Bryson on like a stream playing video games like the geek he is was like chirping Koepka for not having a 6-pack. So bad boy Brooksy, who doesn't care what anyone says about him, just like put the dogs on Bryson at every PGA Tour event. It's just, the guy drives me absolutely insane. And for any fan to do that to Ekblad is one thing. For a legitimate 4-time major winner in golf to do that, like, am I crazy here?
No, I think you broke it down perfectly. And we've
What is this guy doing?
I don't know. And we're Team Ekblad, so you knew we were going to come in swinging. So I tell you what, it's an ugly scene out there between him and Kodak. Some of the classless fans in the league, right there.
Plus, like,
Kodak's way cooler than him.
Yeah, not classier, but cool. Yes, cooler.
The whole I didn't bring the cone. It's like, dude, there aren't cones in fucking suites and like the private boxes. Like, someone had to get that and bring it in there. It's not common to see a cone.
All right,
Yeah, I don't practice.
Are you a
man.
detective, RA?
Golf's not a real sport, man. I don't practice, dude. Fucking.
I'm a private investigator.
You're a
Paul.
private investigator. PI. Magnum
Watch
PI.
yourself.
So we were off to Pittsburgh. So you asked me about the Crosby goal. I think that I understand why they did call it a goal. It felt like after he did make the initial contact in which he could have gotten back up to make the save, he ended up colliding into him. But I think overall, 99.9% of times, that goal is end up called back. I think that if that's not Sidney Crosby in the crease, that's not called a goal. And that's not taking anything away from him. I just thought I was in the group chat, we were all convinced that was coming back. I think even you thought it was coming back, right?
Yeah, I was very surprised it stayed. And then Montgomery had the Sid Rules little quote after the game
that was funny.
Some people took offense to, but I was very surprised, and after seeing the replay and all those different angles, that it didn't get called back. Because it just looked like his stick hit his face mask just enough to kind of like throw him off balance a little bit.
Yeah, I was shocked they didn't overturn it. Same thing in Detroit. Must have been some with bald coaches this weekend. Lalonde flipped out as well. An obvious goalie interference, and they let the goal stand. So I don't know. Same thing every year. No one knows what the rule is.
Well, and then of course the Bees end up scoring in regulation. Tough bounce off of the official, which Letang was snapping after the game, but or right after the play, excuse me. But I mean, hockey karma came back to get the Penguins. But to not muster up at least a point in any of those two games, that's why I say it's tough to really root for the Penguins because they're fumbling the bag. And when they need a big save right now, Jari's really just not there to make it. Like I didn't even think that fourth goal, which ended up being the winner, was that good. I didn't think it was that nice of a goal. I thought that should have been stopped, regardless of the referee creating interference anyway. It just means he lost track of the puck. So, Whit, I don't know what you think about the Penguins. I'd like to see them get in. I guess I'll say yes, I still think they get in, but it's hard to imagine with the way that they're fumbling the bag right now.
Yeah, and when G and I were in Pittsburgh, every fan I talked to, I pretty much said, what do you think? And I would say 8 out of every 10 said they're going to get in, but they're going to lose first round. He's like, we're going to get in and get smoked first round. So even the fans who believe they're going to end up figuring this out and getting into the playoffs have no faith whatsoever they'll get by the first round.
I got heavy Blackhawks fans vibes where just in a sense they're like, our run is over. We did it. You know, we've won our cups, but now it's time to
Yeah,
move
a lot
on.
of people did say, like, what a run we had. You can't expect it to last forever.
Can't be too mad. You know, we won 3 cups.
I think it's pretty wild, though, and it's a pretty fair question, and I'm interested to see the response we get. If you could go back to last year, if you said one of these two teams is not going to make the playoffs, who would you pick? The President's Trophy winner or the Pittsburgh Penguins? Because, I mean, at that time, they didn't even have Malkin and Sid resign, or not Malkin, or Sid, Malkin and Tanger resign. So pretty wild that one of these two teams is not going to make playoffs, one removed from being the best team points-wise in the entire league last year. Gnarly shit.
I guess if the Islanders completely shit the bed, they both could get in, but I don't see that happening. And before we move on from Pittsburgh, I would really like to talk about Kris Letang and kind of honor him in terms of his 1,000th game. I was on the Penguins when Letang came into the league, and I actually would love to talk to Brooks Orpik or Rob Scuderi about this because I think they would agree. Maybe I'm crazy, but he came in and immediately you could see every tool needed. Fast as hell, like amazing endurance, had a great shot, great skills, had good vision. But at the beginning, and looking back, it's kind of crazy to think he was 19 years old, I think, maybe 20. I was like, I don't know if he's going to kind of like put it all together. Like you could tell everything was there for like a possible Norris Trophy #1 superstar defenseman. And boy, did he ever put it together, dude. Now, partly probably because they shipped my scrub ass out of town and he got some more ice time and ended up winning the Stanley Cup. But what this kid's been through in his life, not only like on the ice but off the ice, it's very hard not to feel really happy for him. He's had 2 strokes. One of them was because he was born with a hole in his heart. He didn't even know that happened. I think he had to get like possible career-ending neck surgery from a Ryan Callahan hit, or it might have been a Shane Doan hit. He had 2 hits from those guys that ended up really fucking him up. His dad passed away this year. We know that he dealt with that along with the stroke. Not even to mention, before he came into the league, his best friend, Luc Bourdon, he passed away tragically in a motorcycle accident. That was his best friend. I believe that was during the Cup Finals in 2008 maybe. But just a kid who has, against all odds, played this long at this high of a level for 1,000 games, it's incredible because people go through things on the ice. Every guy who's played 1,000 games is so unreal at what they do to make it that far. But a lot of people haven't really had to struggle with so many different off-ice issues that Letang's had to battle through to get where he's at. So congratulations to him. It's an amazing run.
After that, I'm saying they get in for sure then. That just pumped. That fired me up. And he had his 1,000-game celebration, so you know that's another boost in the locker room. Now, one guy we did forget to mention for the Florida Panthers was Verhaeghe. Did he not hit the 40-goal mark? And he was one of those guys who had a hat trick the other day. Just holy fuck, man. This guy, like,
he had 4, I think.
He was like a no-namer coming out of Tampa, and for him to turn it on and have the career now that he's having, oof.
70 points in 76 games, 40 goals, 30 assists.
40, man. Woo, wee.
Toronto versus Swaggy.
Toronto picked him in the 3rd round in 2013.
Was he not in Tampa for a little bit?
Yeah, he was in Tampa. That was his first NHL season, 1920. 52 games, 9 goals, 4 assists. And then he goes over to Florida, and he's just been money ever since. This year, career year by far. But even last year in the playoffs, I mean, I know they got swept in that 2nd round, but he had 12 points.
He was the only reason they got out of the 1st round.
Friday night, man, we got to see Devon Levi make his much anticipated NHL debut. The Sabres played the Rangers Friday night. Dude, this kid was unbelievable for his first game. I mean, he was at Northeastern 2 weeks before that. He has the second highest save percentage in college history since they started tracking it. Played unbelievable. I think, 31 out of 33 shots he saved, 19 out of 20 in the third period. I mean, he basically won the game for them. And, Buffalo's been waiting for this sort of savior, and that, I mean, it's one game, but we don't want to overhype it, but this kid looks like the real fucking deal already, huh?
Yeah, it's hard to kind of say right away what the future holds for him, but with what he did in his resume leading up to this, it's not going to be that surprising if he turns into a stud. What I thought was interesting was when he won the Beanpot this year, he gave a speech or an interview on the ice, and he kind of grabs your attention right away because he doesn't really use cliches. He's not a boring hockey interview. He's very open about how he approaches the game, how he feels about his teammates, how much he loves playing, and so he kind of grabs your attention because of how personable he seems to be in interviews. And it was absolutely no different after the game. I don't know if you guys saw his post-game interview.
It was unreal.
He was unreal, and he was so thankful to be there, and he was so excited for his future, and he just loves being around the guys in the rink so much that it's hard to imagine that this kid isn't going to make it, because I think he has such a positive mindset that he's the number one believer in himself, right? He knows he's got to go out and prove and be able to prove that he's a number one goalie, but he has no doubt in his mind that he can do it, and he really gives off that vibe doing interviews. And if you can explain, RA, his TV timeout ritual is nuts. I don't know if you saw that. Did you see that online?
Oh, yeah. I sent it to you guys. Yeah, what's a TV timeout? 2 minutes, I think. And he skates around the net a little. He waves to fans, and then he gets about maybe 10, 15 feet facing the net, and he just gets in almost like a yoga pose or a om type thing, and he just sits there and meditates for a minute or two with the guy scraping the ice. They got to kind of go around him and shit. I've never seen a goalie
It's based upon Star Wars, he said, too.
Wow.
It's some scene that his dad and him love in Star Wars.
No shit,
I know RA's cranking himself right now.
Billy G's going to steal him over. He's probably
going to
send
it
over
after
a
the
seventh
show.
rounder and get him.
A lightsaber in my pants. Holy shit.
Yeah, Google it after the show. It's some scene where some dude in Star Wars is meditating, or maybe I'm getting the wrong sci-fi movie. It's not Star Trek, I don't think.
No, definitely
but
not
it could be the Mandalorian.
It was,
I don't know.
I think the interview you're talking about, and we should run it, because remember, this is this guy's first NHL game, and this is how confident he is afterward. And it was Rachel Holtmeyer who ended up doing the interview, and we're going to play it for you guys.
Did you have a favorite save of the night, especially when Fox is coming down? You're wiggling the glove in anticipation. Was there any moment that kind of made you realize the gravity of what you're doing?
I think the third period was my favorite part of the night. They get a goal and then a power play, and it's a 2-2 game, and what are you going to do to give your team a chance to win? That's when the pressure's on, the end of the game, and those are the moments I love. I was just having fun out there. I wanted some one-timers on that power play. I wanted them to find the seam and test me. I feel ready, so I just wanted to be tested tonight, and I'm excited moving forward.
What are you saying to yourself when you see Artemi Panarin stepping up on a loose puck right in the middle of the slot?
Oh, I love it. There's nothing else I'd rather. That's why I'm there. I'm there to stop the puck. If I didn't want that to happen, I think there'd be something wrong. So it's my job. So I just love what I do, and it's no other guy that I'd want in the slot with me one-on-one. So.
Have you heard it yet, RA?
Yeah. He's such a what do you call it? A breath of fresh air from what we used to, especially a rookie in the league. He's honest, he's open, he's smiling, he's having a good time. He gave his first puck to his dad, which is a pretty cool scene as well.
So there,
I think that Buffalo's probably dead in the water, but
Tuesday.
They do play Florida.
That's what I was just going to get to. Who gets
so
to start?
You never, if Buffalo wins that game in regulation, then they're actually fully invested in this thing.
That's what I was going to ask you. Who do you start? You got to give it
him.
You got to give it to him, right? So all of a sudden, he's right in the mix in competitive NHL hockey. So Grinelli did say something the other day, and I'm not bashing him about this. He said, I don't like the move calling him up and potentially destroying his confidence, where I'm like, well, I think – right. I disagreed, where at this point in time, it's that's when you do it, because there's no expectations. If he does not have a good end to the season, you still have the full off season to get him ready, and he could still end up starting next year in the American League, and nobody's batting an eye, because I think for the expectations of a goalie, aren't to just hop right in and make an impact. Now, if they do, that is the upside. So them being able to get his feet wet in that game against New York, and then now all of a sudden you're involved in another game where essentially in that game Tuesday against Florida, the season's on the line. If they can win that game, as you mentioned in regulation, they're right back in the hunt. So there was a couple teams that maybe we didn't take as seriously going back a week, them, and then maybe even Nashville as far as a wild card possibility, but definitely two teams still in the hunt. And exciting times in Buffalo to get their eye on this new goaltender that they've been hyping up for the last year.
Also, of course, Florida traded him. They took him in the 7th round of the 2020 draft, traded him to Buffalo, and a first-round pick for Sam Reinhart, who was a restricted free agent at the time. And, of course, they're going to start him, man.
At the time, Florida's looking like we got Bobrovsky on this monster deal, and then we got Spencer Knight, and I hope everything ends up being okay with Spencer Knight. I know he's been going through a lot, so you kind of see their side in terms of trading him because you already think you have your number one goalie of the future and a very young guy in Spencer Knight. But now it's looking like, oh, my God, I can't believe we got rid of this guy.
G just sent over. It was from one of the prequel movies in Star Wars, so that's probably why I had no idea about it. The ones that come out like
I'm not a big prequel guy either, RA. I only like the original 3. Fuck all that new nonsense, along with all those Marvel and DC movies.
Yeah, it's getting to be a little bit too much lately. But
folks, before we continue, I'm here to talk to you about Game Time, the exclusive ticketing partner of Barstool Sports. I've told you once, I'll tell you again. It's created by fans for fans. Game Time is the ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score last-minute deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows, and they guarantee the lowest price. No matter who you want to see play, no matter who you want to see perform, Game Time has it covered. I will be heading down to Augusta National. Now, as of right now, the second round, Friday, April 7th, it looks like rain. I could cry, but I'm not going to give in to that. And I know those weather gods are going to help us out, and I wouldn't be going there without Game Time. They hooked it up. They're making a very special trip for myself and my buddies, and without Game Time, I'm not going to be down there. It's possible to snag any seats you want with the Game Time app. The biggest last-minute price drops can be found on the seats that you thought you could never buy. The purchase process just takes 2 taps and 10 seconds. And once you buy your tickets, they're delivered directly to your phone. No printer needed. The app also allows you to easily share tickets with friends via text so you can get into the game seamlessly. No having a meet up beforehand. If one guy's coming from here and can't get to the bar before, boom, I'll text you your Game Time ticket. Skip the hassle and enjoy the moment. Download the Game Time app or go to the website, enter your email, and redeem code Chiclets, that's CHICLETS, for $20 off your first purchase. Game Time allows you to go to any game, any event that you could ever want to be at. Game Time.
Anyways, Biz, you had double duty this week with TNT. Wednesday, the Islanders played the Caps. The first couple periods, that was boring as shit.
No shit.
Most boring game of all time.
Buddy, the fan base are the biggest bunch of crybabies for all. I'm not saying that their team's not good and they don't find ways to win. When I made that comment on national TV that they're all poopy pants about, I want to say in that 13-game stretch, 13 fucking games, Whit, before the All-Star break, they were 3-7-3. Guess how many goals per game they were averaging?
It was 1. I don't think they had more than 2 goals.
1.69 goal average scored in a 13-game span. Now, since the All-Star break, I know I did the math the other night, and there's probably been a couple games since, but after that, it was like 3.7, right? Maybe it was in the 3.4 range. Well, I tell you what, when you're getting the goaltending that you're getting from Sorokin, that's all the offense you need in order to win hockey games. So they've been on a bit of a roll since that time, and I don't know how you feel about them, but they're boring as fucking shit. They dragged Washington right into the swamp. They had 9 shots. They had 9 shots on net through 2 periods, and all of a sudden now they've become this third-period team, and that's a big reason why they've been rattling off all these fucking wins. Unfortunately for hockey fans everywhere who want to pull their eyes out when watching them play, other than their own fan base.
G and I went to Army and McQuaid. We went to Army's house with he's got 4 kids, just a crazy household at like 7 o'clock. We all hung out and watched the games together. but we were falling asleep watching that game. And I had a huge bet on the Islanders, so I ended up being fired up. They got it done barely in the shootout. But we were saying through 2 periods, I'm like, oh my God. We had Florida Toronto on mute, but we were actually all just watching that game because the whole Islanders Capitals game was just stuck in the neutral zone. But I was getting so rattled because I had this money on the Islanders. Army's like, nope. You got them exactly where you want them. This is what the Islanders do. This works so perfect. And then he was right.
Wayno was not crazy about the koozie coming in slow. Not only did he come in slow in that shootout, he did the stick twirl.
Yeah,
and
the stick twirl's tough.
Wayne said if that would have been happened back in his day, that 20 guys would have came off the bench and pumped his eyes shut. All right, what do you make of that nonsense? Do you think there should be a shot clock on the shooters?
Yeah, I mean, how are you going to penalize that? Because as long as you're moving forward, there's no rule that you got to go at a certain speed.
So you're okay.
Like, how would you? Yeah, I mean, if he's not breaking the rules.
He scores every time. That's the thing.
It is, but he's moving. There are a couple guys who do it slow. It looks like they're almost going sideways at a certain point, but there's no rule he's breaking right now. I don't know what kind of rule you'd put him. What, are you going to have like a fucking pitching gun on him? See if he's going like 5 miles an hour or something? I don't know, man. It's exciting. It brings a little some drama to the game, and I think everybody's just fucking fed up with shootouts at this point as well. But
here,
see what happens. Let's see. It's only the second time since 2008 that the Caps are going to miss the playoffs. They also missed them back in 2014. The nightcap, the Wild doubled up on the Avalanche 4-2. Yeah, well, actually, we're going to get to that one in a second, Biz. Sunday was the games. Wayne made his return to the booth. Rangers pounded the Caps, and then the Bruins beat the Blues in the shootout. And you had a great interview with Jake DeBrusk after the game. Want to play it, G, the last portion about the gambling there?
Rear Admiral, my co-host on Spittin Chiclets, he actually had Trent Frederick to score the opening goal at 3,400 to 1. or what was it? Plus 3,400. So you're going to have to either change that goal or at least throw him a few grand.
Boys, you guys are in the studio. Change it for me. I don't even care. Do it for the Admiral. Yeah, you're just putting salt in the wound. Now I'm gonna feel terrible going home. Big win. Thought I got a goal, but I guess I don't.
I mean, I was pissed myself.
You got hosed, all right.
You got hosed.
You know what?
That looked to me like it was Frederick. I don't know how they make that call, really.
It's funny because I saw it looked like Jake got it. Then the first replay, I mean, when the score come up on the website, everything was like Frederick goal. But I'm like, I don't know, man. I didn't want to be all celebratory. And then a minute later, it went to DeBrusk, and you could see it plainly hits DeBrusk's stick on the way in. But I went to the rule book, and it actually says crediting goals. A goal shall be credited in the scoring records to a player who shall have propelled the puck into the opponent's goal. Now,
no
Frederick
shit,
propelled the puck in, but fucking, Jake did. But whatever, it was, it would have been a nice little
crime dog McGruff over here, twice in one pod.
Holy fuck! All right, you should do a murder pod trying to solve a murder. That was some serious detective work. A goal should be awarded to the person who directs the puck into the net.
Propels, yeah.
Propels the puck into the net.
Yeah, I mean, they do change them a day later sometimes, but I knew it wasn't going to happen once it went back to DeBrusk. But I did have a horseshoe up my ass earlier. I had Matt Boldy, Saturday night, first goal, 13-1. And then Sunday, in the Rangers game, I played, Trouba and Keandre Miller, 34-1 each, and Keandre got the first goal, so had a nice little week either way.
Of one of the young guns in the league, this guy is taking massive strides in a time much needed for the Wild. With Kaprizov out, I know the whole lineup has, but this Matt Boldy kid is out of his fucking mind right now.
And there were people, when he signed that deal, that were like, overpayment. I don't think so. I think he has 15 points in his last 9 games. He's completely lighting it up. I don't know if it was 2 weeks ago or last week I mentioned him and Johansson have some sort of connection going on. They don't even have Nyquist playing yet. Hopefully he's back soon. I don't know if you guys know the news on Kaprizov. He will be back before playoffs, they said, correct?
Yeah, or around playoff time.
Okay, well, just the fact that the pressure gets put on Boldy and a couple other guys to really step it up when he goes out, and they answer the bell. So I think you're looking at a future 35 to 40 goal season each year for Matt Boldy. I think he's that good. He's big. He's got great vision, sick hands around the net. Unfortunately, went to Boston College, but a great kid. And seeing him explode like this, it's not that surprising. But the fact that he did it with Kaprizov out, that's what's a little surprising, is that he was able to up his game when needed that much.
I would say the most surprising thing about that game was, Avs play at a certain pace. Mini didn't back down at all, and that game was on the road. They were
in Colorado.
What's that?
That was in Colorado.
Yeah,
right?
it was in Colorado. Altitude, you go in there, and they kept up with that playoff pace the whole game. And even going back to the beginning of the season, like, I don't remember Minnesota being that fast. If anything, I remember being a little bit slow and sluggish, where it was more of a Kaprizov one-man show where he would get it out there. He'd do the 10-2. He'd circle around the offensive zone the way he does with his edges. But this team is all of a sudden, man, if they can compete and forecheck and hound pucks the way that the Avs do, and if they can come out skating like that most nights, that's a pace that I just haven't seen that team play most of the year. So highly, highly impressive and a big win. And we go back to trying to win the division, how important it is. Well, they're scrambling for it right now. Who would have thought at the deadline? And that you mentioned Johansson. That was, when I said Nomesnikov on the Sportsnet broadcast as the sneakiest pickup of the draft for a fourth rounder. Johansson right now has to be, or Johansson, however you say it, they change it every fucking week. He's got to be the sneakiest pickup of the deadline.
Dude, that's who's playing on Winnipeg's second line. It's Nemestikov, and he's playing unreal. That's who I couldn't remember as the other winger on that second line. Biz. Nemestikov always does you right.
He always does.
He always hooks you up. And
didn't you mock me and say that I was on shrooms when I said that live on air?
No, you were on shrooms. So
I know I was, but you mocked me about how stupid it was. I get smarter when I'm on shrooms.
Very true.
I think
Very
everyone
true.
mocked you, though. I think a lot of people mocked you for that.
There you go.
I think Berkey on hockey on the trade deadline was like, "What are you talking about?"
Well, he should be worrying about his own trades.
All right, great hit on Keandre Miller. I'll quickly mention they have to re-sign him. I don't know if it's this year or his deal's up next year. I'm not exactly sure. 41 points this year. How many are on the power play, Biz?
I'm going to say 3 points.
3 fucking points.
Wow, what a guess by me. Oh,
dude, he has
or did I do research?
38 5-on-5 or shorthanded points this year. That is and when he can, with the way he plays D and the way he skates, with Fox back there and Trouba the truck, this is why I know the Rangers are going to smack the Devils in the mouth. And everyone's saying, "Oh, Whitney, you fucking idiot, you big-eared loser, you fucking suck, I hate your voice, you sucked at hockey." The Devils were 4-0 against him this year. You know what the Rangers did to the Lightning last year? Do you think the regular season matters at all when you get to the playoffs? No. The Rangers have a better goalie and a better overall team. I know they're behind you in the standings, and I don't even dislike the Devils or their fans. But they're just so dumb sometimes that's why my money is on the Rangers once again. Fuck you, Pasha.
Keandre Miller is a restricted free agent at the end of this year.
They got
as well.
So he Biz, what's he gonna want?
I would say
he deserves at least 7.5.
I was gonna say 7 to 7.5. Mind you, he has a guy like Trouba there, and people are going to say, "Well, what does Trouba have to do with him?" He's more of that defensive defenseman, and he adds that toughness where he gets to be that second guy where he doesn't really have to fight much or be as physical. And he also gets to play second fiddle behind Fox. So he's got some other guys around there protecting him where he ain't like a Makar type driver. So I think the 7.5 to 8 million range is a very fair range with him being restricted. 7.5 would be my guess, just based on the fact that they have Lindgren, they have him, and those two other guys to pay. You can't command that much money as a second defenseman with that much protection, so to speak, around you. Now, going to those games recently and his overall offense, we had the conversation on the panel, and Wayne said the same thing, that he would rather face Jersey based on the inexperience. Where I don't think that they match up well against Jersey is in the pace in which Jersey plays at. They're fast up and down the ice, but I also view Carolina the same way, where New Jersey has more of that skill upside. I think of the three teams that we just mentioned, though, New York outskills you all day long. And as you mentioned, they have the goaltending. So to me, if I was a Rangers, I would want Carolina as the first round matchup. Do you agree with that? Or do you think that the inexperience of the Devils is that's why you would want them first round?
No, you know what? I think the Rangers are going to win their first round no matter if it's against Jersey or Carolina. I think it's going to be really hard for Carolina not to get that one seed in the Metro. But I would actually rather Carolina than New Jersey. I would.
That's what I said.
And especially because the Rangers dominate Carolina. So that's another, like, looking back to last year in the playoffs and how fast Jersey is. Like, I hate how this is being turned into I don't think the Devils are good. I think they are very good. I just think the Rangers are overall a big-time team. I think Kane's going to step it up. And then when you go to goaltending in the playoffs means everything, just give me Shesterkin.
I'm saying that New Jersey is more threatening. So, in fact, we're actually pumping their tires. So you're welcome, Pasha.
No, I know. That's why I hate the fact that people think I hate them. I don't. I am so rock hard talking about the playoffs right now.
Oh, yeah.
This first round is going to be the best 2 weeks of all time. And we got 2 episodes a week, and we got some other things coming. I'm just,
Yeah, mini man. 7-3
Star Wars.
Without Kaprizov in those 11 games, Boldy 12 goals, 4 assists. So he's been lighting it up in Kaprizov's absence.
And going back to Keandre Miller too, in that game the other night on the TNT broadcast, couple great plays 5-on-5 to keep the play alive. Well, one of them was to bang in the rebound by jumping in the play, and the other one was he was the weak side defenseman, Whit. And that puck goes over below the goal line. And in some cases, like, you know, D-men are told, like, stay up top, don't go below. But his anticipation was perfect. He gets down. He ends up blown by. It was Smith who came over in that Boston trade to Washington, and he gets stuck between a rock and a hard place. Keandre Miller keeps the play alive. He ends up getting an assist on that goal as well. So just a very, very impressive player. Interested to see his number. And one thing I don't think we mentioned too is I forgot, there wasn't 2 coaches call-outs. Gerard Gallant also had some choice words for his team too. Maybe not as aggressive as the other 2 coaches, but ever since they'd clinched, they dropped the last 2, one being to the Buffalo Sabres when Levi had his first game there. That was an OT loss, mind you. But he said, ever since we've clinched, we think that the season's fucking over. He's like, we're just going to, back into playoffs. And, hey, as a head coach, your biggest fear is after you clinch, if your game declines, creating bad habits in the lineup. You don't want those nasty habits going in. So they cleaned things up against the Washington Capitals and end up capping that one off. Now, did you see Ovi snap on Goudreau?
No.
Oh, fuck. He lost his mind. He ended up getting him in the elbow with a face, and then Goudreau. There was a TV timeout. There ended up being 2 scraps during the TV timeout, so you didn't even see him on the TNT broadcast till we came back. So an interesting matchup there, RA, but nonetheless, New York's looking good, and the new fit Patrick Kane's looking good as well.
Sometimes I think coaches, like Gallant could just be saying that because if you see any sort of complacency, it's just like, all right, no, fuck off, boys. Like, it's almost like no matter what, he might have said something. Just because it is a natural reaction to clinch playoffs. You kind of know where you're going to be and know who you're going to play, I think, in terms of Jersey. So there can be some sort of relaxation, which I think's been really hard for Tampa to just know we're playing Toronto, and it almost fucks with your mind a little bit that this doesn't matter when in fact it does. And like you said, the habits leading in. You don't just turn things around game 1, dude. Things are going a million miles an hour that first period of game 1, and you can't just flick it on like a switch. So I understand where Gallant's coming from.
That's what makes the Boston run so impressive. Even now that they're doing the load management, they're still not.
And they're doing it like they didn't have Bergeron, McAvoy, or Krejci. I think it's just like it's crazy.
Or Hall or Foligno. Imagine those 5 guys out of your lineup and still doing 60 wins for Monty.
3 of the last 5 games. If they can win 3 of the last 5, it's the most wins in the history of the NHL. And once again, Biz picked them to miss the playoffs. If they end up getting the most wins in the history of this league and you picked them to miss playoffs, that is just like, you should have to shave your head again for that.
He's never going to let this go.
All right, for you as the Boston guy, since you grew up in Charlestown, Robin Banks, for them to do it in that last game against the Montreal Canadiens, how much would that mean to you? Last game of the season, game 82, to break the all-time record for most wins. Come on.
It would be nice, but all I care about is the cup, and I think that's most fans feel the same way. I mean, the records are great, but nobody talks about records. No, people don't talk about records of this type later. It's all about the cup. If it's less than the cup this year, it's going to be disappointment. That obviously wasn't how we felt going into the year, but they've raised the bar so much and they've been so good that's like, all right, man, if they don't win the cup, we're going to be severely disappointed this year. So
this would be Patriot-like, winning every game up into the Super Bowl.
Oh. Don't fucking say that.
No, I'm
Biz.
saying it
Don't
would be.
put that juju.
It'd be the exact same thing, Biz.
It would be the same. thing. I like your Belichick approach, RA. We're on to Cleveland. I'm not gloating about this record.
Cincinnati.
Asante Samuel Whit. He said something about Belichick on Twitter the other day, and like Matthew Judon quote tweeted him, kind of goofing on him. It's like, buddy, when you let 19-0 go through your fucking hands, like perfection, an easy interception, you probably just keep your trap shut after that, man. I mean, they would have been 19-0 if he made a simple interception, but we're still scarred either way.
Wes Welker had a tough drop too, I remember.
Yeah.
Oh no, they were dropping Butterfingers off. Like Giants fans were jumping.
That's when Giselle was like, "My husband can't catch the ball too."
Yeah,
divorced.
Oh, Jesus.
Blur over it, Sonk. All right, nice input in the Rangers. What do you say, boys? Should we send it to Sean Hill now or what?
This interview is brought to you by Chevy. Chevrolet is a trusted company that has been innovating for the last 100 years. Up to now, most electric vehicles have either been too expensive, too small, and too limited in capabilities for most people. Chevrolet is committed to making EVs available for all Americans. There's a growing network of public charging stations. They have over 1,900 certified Chevy EV dealerships, and Chevy has convenient ways to research and shop EVs online. Chevy, EVs for everyone, everywhere. Now, let's go on to the interview.
All right, it's time to bring on our guest. This defenseman was selected in the 8th round of the 1988 draft by Montreal, where he won the 1993 Stanley Cup his rookie year. He played for 7 more clubs over his 15 seasons in the NHL, totaling over 900 regular season and playoff games. We're very happy to welcome to the Spittin Chiclets podcast, Sean Hill. What's going on, brother?
Hey, guys. Appreciate you having me on. Just got in the habit of watching you guys a fair amount, and I'll tell you what, I've really enjoyed it, and can't say enough and congratulate you guys enough about how you transitioned into doing something which is actually better than playing hockey and actually getting paid to do it.
There goes your IQ, buddy. Welcome aboard.
Because now I just want to interview this guy even more now. He's just pumping our tires coming on here. What a guy. We appreciate that. Who actually first told you, or how'd you ever first hear one of our shows or videos?
You know what? I think it was my son. And he's 25.
There you go. That's the problem right there.
He's like, Dad, you got to watch this. It is so funny. And most of the stuff he says that about, I'm kind of like, okay, yeah, and I'll watch 2 minutes. I'm like, wow, dude, what's going on? We got a different sense of humor or something. And but obviously, I had you guys, got you guys on, watched the one with Willie and Colsey and Roddy, and then that turned into more and more. So first time on the show, obviously, but been a fan for a while.
Yeah, you got more of that Roddy interview than I did. I was fucking in one.com. I was telling the boys we had TNT the other night, and as soon as he hopped on, we were about to do an interview, and we pre-record him. I said, hey, buddy, at least this last night I got some sleep because we had him down in Fort Lauderdale at the All-Star game.
Yeah, I can imagine the whoop bracelet probably said you're at about 0.00%, huh?
His is like a dog shock collar because it's just that bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we appreciate the kind words. We're excited to get you on. You had a long, amazing career, some twists and turns, expansion teams, multiple expansion teams. So, RA, I'll throw it over to you first.
Absolutely. First off, we just asked you if you knew Sean Podine, which you do, another Minnesota guy, correct?
I do know Podes. He actually went to Duluth, which is where I am from. And I would see him in the summer some, and obviously playing against him that long. He's a guy that's pretty chatty on the ice, and I was too. So great guy. Obviously, you guys know a little bit about him, and he had a great career, and was one of those guys that you'd always want on your team. You just worked so hard and got things done, and great guy in the room. Perfect teammate.
Yeah, he was great to chat with. So, anyways, doing the research for this, he was picked 166, same draft as you. We just interviewed him yesterday. We're interviewing you today. You were picked 167. What are the odds of that happening? Literally the next day, and you were taking one spot after him. Did you know that? Or were you aware of that?
Was it the next day?
Well, no. We talked to him yesterday. We're talking to you today. But in the draft, you were taking one pick right after him. It's just kind of fluky.
Yourself in the stands waiting to be called, and I had to wait till the next day. No, yeah, I know that's crazy. One pick after him, and to find 2 turds and polish them like that a little bit, and have guys that pick that late actually make it 2 in a row, it's something to say. But I think that's crazy. Now, is there even 8 rounds now? I don't know.
I think it's down to 7. 7 now.
Yeah,
Actually,
seven rounds.
I think it was
I
even
believe.
12. I think it was 12 rounds back at 88.
I was just going to ask about your draft situation because when we had Podine on, he talked about how the fact that you didn't go to the draft, and then the next day he found out because there was a sticky note on the fridge letting him know. Did you actually go to the draft, or how did you find out back then that you were drafted?
No, I didn't go to the draft. I was at some camps and stuff in the summer, and people were talking about the draft, but it wasn't like, I was all excited thinking, I might go in this round or that round, or, I was hopeful to get drafted. But at that point, I was just more focused on going to Wisconsin and trying to make that team, much less make the NHL. So it was, in the back of my mind that I might get picked, but it wasn't like I was anticipating it or anything like that.
The high school tournament's going on right now in Minnesota. I wanted to ask, Duluth East High School you went to, did you get to play in that tournament back in your day?
I did not.
No?
I did not.
0 for 2.
I made it to the I made it to the finals of the region one year to go to the tournament, and we had a great game. We were super close to making it, got a few bad bounces, and I think lost 8-2 to get to not make it into the tournament. And then the team that pounded us got beat by like 5 or 6 the first game down in St. Paul, and I was like, you know what, it might have been a better deal to not go, and instead of get that in front of 18,000 people.
All right, you didn't see in the notes Hilly was actually -4 in that game. You weren't supposed to bring that up. I heard, Hilly. I did some research.
A lot of
I might have been. I'll tell you what, when you give up 9, -4 is not bad when you're playing a lot, right? You got to
that was it. I had my guy most of the time.
Right. Yeah, no, some bad rebounds that were, from the other side of the ice. Who knows?
So growing up, did you have brothers? Your father play? I always like hearing, guys' origin stories of hockey and how they got into the game.
Yeah, I did have. I do have an older brother, 2 years older than me. So he played as well. He was kind of playing. He played football and baseball also in high school, and I played baseball, I think, 1 year. I was more kind of year-rounding it with hockey a little bit, but my father was a great athlete. He was actually UMD's first All-American. I'm sure you guys know about UMD. So he was their first All-American way back in, I want to say maybe 66.
I was already shocked you didn't go there. Hearing that, now it's just, I can't believe it.
Yeah. I really was close to going. I was close to pulling the trigger a few times. Duluth's not that big of a city, right around probably 150,000 surrounding area. So, it was a huge part of my growing up and stuff. And my dad actually worked in the press box during the games and stuff. So I was around it a bunch. I just, I'll tell you what, I went to Wisconsin on a recruiting trip, and my eyes, about popped out of my head. And I thought, you know what, maybe I do need to get out of Duluth.
Jesus Shuttlesworth. Like if he got game.
Exactly. There was a lot of things going on there that I hadn't seen in Duluth, and it ended up being a great decision for me.
You're acting like Wisconsin's like the bright lights of New York City here.
Wisconsin's a time and a half, Biz.
Is it?
Oh, Madison's the capital of Wisconsin. This is a big time.
I know that.
Biz is acting like it's Oswego State. I mean, this is like going. You say Western's unreal. Go to Wisco for a weekend.
Oh,
okay.
Geez. Did you, Biz? You're giving Wisco shit, and you're pumping.
No.
I pumped Western a lot.
I compared it to Duluth. So what's the population there, Wisco?
Madison, probably 50,000 students. Let's start there.
Okay. All right. So it does have more of a pulse.
Yeah, no. Wisconsin, Madison's big now. It's probably over 500,000 in the surrounding area.
Okay.
But Big Ten school. So, I mean, there's a lot of action going on. It is, compared to Duluth, it is New York City.
Were you a full ride guy? Full scholarship?
I was a full ride guy. Well, Wisconsin's full ride is they didn't give you books, so I don't know how much that saved them a year, but truth be told, I don't know if I would have bought them anyways.
It brings me back to Podine, and he goes, we're going to start getting you books. He goes, I haven't had books for 2 years.
It was senior spring. That was their first money they ever gave them.
Really. How about you just give me the cash instead of covering them, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I told him, hey, just get the bar tab. Were you a good student?
No, I wasn't. I mean, I didn't put a lot of effort in. I was dumb enough to think that I was going to play in the National Hockey League at that point. Once I made Wisconsin, I was like, gosh, I can do this. Why can't I play in the NHL, And I had a scooter not like the kind you push with your foot, but like the kind you sit on and boom. And I had my my notebook, 5-subject notebook, crinkled up in half and right in the front part of the scooter. Drove around once while I brought it into class, wrote a few things in it. But yeah, that was kind of my gig. I did enough
Like
to
phone numbers.
Yeah, I may or may not have had to stay in Madison for the summer after my freshman year because I might have got a suspect grade in math 99, which was, as you
like
can
beginner's
tell,
math of college.
Yeah, I'm awesome at math. I was great at math. Then they started mixing the fucking alphabet with it, and that was trouble.
buddy. Cosine and tan, all that bullshit. I had to
I don't know
use
if
that.
I got there. Might have co-signed a check, but I did not co-sign a tangent. I don't know if I ever got there.
Well, I didn't know it either.
When I see letters and numbers though on a board, it's straight up. I'm out.
Yeah, white flag. I've had enough.
I can't even try to fathom that. It's kind of like outer space to me.
What about you, RA? What about you? You got you good with the letters and numbers when doing math?
Awful. Math, algebra frustrated me to tears. I had to go to summer school. Like my brain just freezes up on it. Terrible. That's why I was an English major. Awful at
Me
math.
too. RA. Summer school.
Brutal. But
yeah.
You won a natty there as well, though. 1990, correct?
I did. It was not in the summer school stuff, though. That was winter. Yeah. Yeah. No, that was a great group of guys. Great team. Probably had a bunch of guys that, I thought would have played longer in the NHL than they did. But we had a lot of guys that were just great college players and never played, much after.
Looking at your college numbers, last year there, 122 PIMs in 37 games. How'd you get that many in college? That's a pretty big number to put up.
Yeah, I don't know, really, honestly. I think there must have been a couple, maybe 3-4 10s after the game was over, looking for an early exit or something, get a shower quick and head down to the college club and see if I can't get a little bit of a jump on the prospects. I don't know, that is honest. I mean, and I was still somewhat productive, so I don't know. I think they might have, maybe it's 22 minutes and someone was being funny and they messed it up. I don't know.
That's a trick as old as time, getting the early gate and get your positioning at the local bar, the local watering hole. That's unreal. Were you highly touted coming into college? Like, what was your game, or did you have to adjust it when you first got there? Was it a big wake-up call for you?
Like my first year, honestly, going into college, I was kind of a late recruit. I was kind of a late bloomer, if you will. I mean, and I don't know if it was part of it. Probably wasn't me being the most serious with practicing and trying to get better. But once I got to Wisconsin and saw the way the guys went about doing things and stuff, and realized, seeing some of these guys that they're telling me, oh, this guy's going pro, he's going pro for sure, he's going to be this, that, I thought, that's a pretty good deal. Maybe I should try and, tighten it up a little bit and start to work harder. And, I was lucky enough to play a fair amount my freshman year, and I played enough to know that coming into the next year, I thought I would be playing quite a bit more, and my summer training kind of ramped up and got to the point where I was getting more and more serious about it.
So, Sean, when you went pro, were the Canadians kind of pushing you toward that? Was that your own decision? How did that all come about when you decided to go that route?
So after my sophomore year, I had a pretty decent sophomore year, and Olympic year was coming up. Talking with the Olympic team, I kind of had a pretty good idea that my junior year would be my last year. And talked to Montreal a fair amount throughout the year, and I wasn't positive I was going to go, but I think I was pretty sure I was going to have the opportunity to, and whether it was going to be that or going to the Olympic team, I was pretty sure I wasn't going back to Wisconsin. So it was a situation where I kind of shut her down academically for second semester, and maybe didn't do my best work. My attendance probably wasn't great, but I was pretty sure I wasn't going back. And once again, I was lucky enough that I was right and didn't have to try and get those grades in order quick. I would have been at summer school for 6 months if you can. I don't know if that's possible, but.
Did they throw a bag at you? Did you get a nice little signing bonus?
I did. I mean, I don't know if I'd call it a bag. Back then it was. I can't remember if I got...
Like an El Camino or some shit?
No, it was probably an Edsel, something like that. That was bad. This was way back in the 1900s, Biz. This was a long time ago. But I can't remember if I got 150, 175. I mean, I think I don't remember if the first year was a one-way or if the first 2 years were one-way, and that was the deal at the time for me to be able to, get that. So
you got a one-way coming out of college?
I did.
Wow,
really?
That's unbelievable. That must have been a.
Ari, I wish you could fact check this. Like when these guys get something like, shit, can you fact check?
Oh yeah, you want him to? Oh yeah, good luck.
Yeah, no, but yeah, I know it was. I think I can't remember if there were stipulations after the first. I know it was one way right away, and maybe I played a certain number of games. The duration went, but luckily it was one way the whole way.
After being such a big offensive guy in college, as you turned pro, you had a couple great years offensively, but did you realize right away, all right, I'm probably not going to be running the power play if I want to play in the NHL the way I was at Wisconsin? Was that easy for you to change your game? I mean, you were a bulldog when I remember playing against you. Were you always that way, or were you more offensive and had to switch?
I mean, I always, I didn't mind physical play. I like to hit. But, I think at first, when you come up, obviously, and you got Matthew Schneider there and Eric Desjardins there and these guys, it's like, I know I'm not going to be playing on the power play, who knows, maybe I could grow into it there, but obviously I didn't end up being there long enough. But you kind of do what you can to get yourself in the lineup every night, and then after that, give yourself a chance to let your game evolve. I always knew I could do it, the offensive side of it, but I wouldn't have put myself out there in front of Schneider or Desjardins at the time either. Those guys were great players and were doing obviously a great job. And so, I had to buy my time just like anybody else and, try and be effective and round out, the defensive side of the game and try and figure a way into the lineup.
Who were the biggest mentors to you when you first broke in?
Mike Keane was a great teammate. He and his wife were amazing to me. I was, obviously a young guy, single guy. I went over to his house to eat probably at least half the nights we were home, probably more like 3/4 of the time. Great family, great guy, obviously, great guy to learn from. Heart and soul guy worked his butt off, would score big goals in the playoffs. I mean, he was awesome to me, and I learned a ton from him. And kind of, a lot of times you think you're learning stuff, and you are, but then, several years down the road, you kind of like click in your head and you're like, holy shit, that's what Keener was talking about, or, Kirk Muller was great to me. Everybody on that team, Montreal, it's odd, a little bit odd back then being an American playing in Montreal, but the guys were awesome, right down the line, all the way from Patrick Waugh and Guy Carbonneau. I mean, Denny Savard, it was a really good group of guys. I think, when you look at that team, we weren't probably the best team in the league. I think the Gwins were kind of on a tear back then and probably would have won 3 in a row, but somehow the Islanders knocked them out. But I think we were the best group of guys playing a team game, and obviously had the best goalie in the world at the time, which is huge. But I think the team game that our club was playing at the time was better than anybody else's.
I just looked at your birthday. You're 13 years older than me, but we both got to experience coming into the league with Lyle Odeline. you had Odie as a young buck. I'm sure he told me some amazing stories after they won the cup, and then I had him at the end when he's like, let's go have lunch. I've told it 100 times. And then all of a sudden it was 7:30 and all right, time for dinner.
Lunch
with Odie.
Yeah. Odie was amazing. Great guy. Would do anything for the team, he saw it as much as I did. And you know what? I remember, I don't think it was when I was there. I think it was maybe gone 2 years, but scored a hat trick.
And he had 5 assists one game. I think it tied Doug Harvey's record. He always talked about it.
Yeah. I mean, you just got to tip your hat right there, right?
And he was tough, too.
You're a pretty big machine in the gym. Were you still old school in the sense where you go with guys for pops all night long? Like, because back then, that's kind of what everybody did, right? Especially when you were in your Montreal days, going out and partying in Montreal. You guys were probably living the Vida Loca.
Vida Loca. Do you know how to say that in French?
No.
Not me neither.
And he speaks French.
Yeah. I like to have a good time. I mean, I wasn't going out the night before games by any means, but if there was a bit of a green light, oh yeah, enjoy it, have a great time. Obviously, Montreal is a great place to go out for a beer and enjoy yourself. But I wouldn't say it was in the league of some of those guys, but if we had a green light, obviously, I like to go out just as much as anyone else, and great teammates to do that with.
And the one follow-up, I don't want to say there was criticism. Some people surprised Carbonneau made it to the Hall of Fame, given his offensive numbers. Just maybe describe to some of the younger audience like what his game was like back then and what made him a Hall of Famer.
When a guy can put up modest to decent numbers, but have the impact defensively, playing against the other team's top player every night. I mean, would you rather have Guy Carbonneau have no goals, no assists, but Wayne Gretzky maybe get 1 assist or something along those lines? I mean, that's better than if he had 1 and 2 on the night or something, as long as he keeps, Gretzky to numbers like that. I mean, he was amazing. And you didn't have to, very rarely did a guy playing against you have a 3-4 point night. It was, he could neutralize their best players, and you knew more often than not, you weren't going to get beat by their best players, the other team's best players, because he was going to handle that job. And after that, the other guys just had to find a way to pitch in and get a goal here and there, and we, end up in good shape.
So, Sean, your first NHL game was actually a playoff game with the Canadiens, right?
I don't remember it very well, but it was against the Bees, I think, if I remember correctly. I remember that part of it. We did lose. I think it was in the Garden, but, it was one of those deals where I was in Freddie when I signed. I went to Fredericton, and I don't know if I played 4 or 5 games there, and then somebody got hurt. I can't remember who it was, so I got called up for the one game, and we ended up losing that game, so we're out of the playoffs. I think the rules said I couldn't go back to Fredericton, and then I think that one game counted for a year towards free agency, which was a big deal, for, you don't even know about it happening back then. But fast forward after that, how many years it was, and to have that one game count a year was great.
Burn, baby, burn.
You must have played awesome those 4 or 5 games, though. I mean, they got guys there all year, and you're getting the call up. You just got there.
I don't know if I played awesome. I don't know what they had down there. I mean, I remember the guys they had down there, and I don't know if maybe I played awesome or I just played good enough that I was playing better than some of those other guys. And but whatever the reasoning, it was great to be able to have that one game and help me out going in the next year. Obviously not that much because I was sent down again, but helped me out enough that I knew where I was going when I got to Freddie and knew some of the guys, and made a little bit better of a transition,
I know you mentioned the Olympics a few minutes ago. You did that actually, obviously, before you were a full-time pro. That was the Albertville games, the Ray LeBlanc show. What was that experience like? Obviously the miracle was 12 years before that, but that team really made a big impact because you had so many guys who were about to go pro right after. We had
actually I think anybody on the team, if you told them that we're going to finish 4th, would have probably, been pretty happy with it. Ray LeBlanc was amazing. That might be an understatement, the way he played throughout the pre-round or whatever, the round robin, I should say. And we had a lot of guys on that team that ended up being pretty good NHLers, but like you said, that was before they were shutting down the NHL schedule and doing the full-blown NHL guys best on best. So it was fun. It was a little bit different. Like you said, I was coming from Fredericton, so I was so overjoyed to get out of Freddie and be there for a month or whatever it was, and to have that experience and play in the games is great. And then we had 2 shots at a medal. I think in the semifinals, I think we lost to the unified team, which was Russia. And then I think in the gold medal game, we lost to Czechoslovakia. It was still Czechoslovakia at the time. And I think Ray went from being amazing to just being average. And the difference in that was like a 6-1 and a 7-2 or something along those lines. But when you look back at it, I mean, we would have had to do miraculous things to get a medal out of the deal. But it was a lot of fun, great experience.
When you end up going to Anaheim, take us through that whole scenario, because, that year you'd been up with Montreal most of the time, and Anaheim's this new team out west. Were you excited, or were you kind of like, oh my God, I don't want to leave Montreal?
Yeah, I was surprised, but there was always rumors about it happening. We had kind of a logjam on defense in Montreal. I was, depending on the day, the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th guy, I think my rookie year I played 32 games or something like that. I did have a sports hernia or whatever that kept me out of lineup for a while, and so I went down and played a conditioning stint. But we had a bunch of guys there, so I was thinking something was going to happen. I didn't know if it would be me or someone else. And then when I was exposed on the expansion draft, I was pretty sure that it was going to happen, just a matter of where. And I was happy to. It was a little bit of a shock, for a minute, but to go to a franchise, Anaheim, I knew it was obviously Southern California, probably going to be a pretty fun place to play. I figured that they'd do it right, and they did. And so it ended up being a bit of a learning experience being with an expansion team, but it wasn't like it was a group that was just shoveled together their nipples and had just enough to make it go. I mean, they did it right, and it was a lot of fun, and we had a great group of guys, so it was a rewarding experience.
You scored the first ever goal in franchise history, didn't you?
I did. It was.
You get the puck?
I did not get the puck. I mean, what a joke, huh?
Jeez.
Did they not do that back then?
I don't know if they probably didn't have enough pucks, to go around or whatever. They had a low budget or what, but
the Samuelis. Oh no, Disney owned it then, right?
Yeah, Disney owned it then. Yeah,
yeah. Because
Eisner was
the
CEO.
Wow.
I don't. Someone's got to have the thing. Do you think I can get it?
No chance.
You think someone would have kept it? Yeah,
sorry, maybe. Whit, no
actually, my tour guide at Disney had the puck. They let the tour guides for the VIPs there.
Yeah,
carry it around. It's pretty good. They're still proud of you.
Yeah, big goal. I think it got us within 4 with Detroit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
chipping away. Got to start somewhere.
I mean, if I don't score that goal, they might still be stuck on 0 right now. Who knows?
Yeah, they weren't nearly as generous then as they were today. I mean, you guys had more points your first year than 5 other teams in the league. I mean, Guy, Bear, Ron Tug, that were great goalies. Like how'd that season go? Did you guys get down in the dumps at all? Like, Ron Wilson was the coach, right?
Our performance was better than people expected, and we were kind of in the playoff hunt till probably a month left, which is a lot better than a lot of the teams were doing at that time. So it was, I mean, I'd say we were competitive. We were competitive. We weren't scaring anybody out of the rink or anything as far as they were, worried about us blowing them out. But they had to pay attention against us, I guess. And one thing we did have, we had a tough team. I mean, we had Stu Grimson, Robin Bawa, Jim Thompson. There's a bunch of other guys that I can't remember right now, but we had a bunch of guys that were scary. So it was kind of actually scary sometimes in practice. A couple of times early on, I might have taken the puck from Stu, and it wasn't a good idea. And I learned that I should really make sure my elbow pads are in the right spots, my shin pads are down to my ankles. I mean, it was a little bit gritty sometimes in practice, but
especially the way you block shots.
Yeah, I don't know if I was.
Yeah, you were like Rudy in practice.
The part I was worried about. I was more worried about the slashes if I actually got to get the puck and take more than 2 strides coming from some of the guys we had. But
I got to work with Stu Grimson at NHL Network. One of the nicest people I've ever met. Like, so friendly, helpful. And then on the ice, it was the complete opposite. He just snapped, right?
Oh man, he could snap. Yeah, but like you said, sweetheart of a guy. Great guy. I had him in Anaheim, and I had him in Carolina as well. And great dude, man. And was he was scary tough. He was. I was in St. Louis, and Reed Simpson got in a fight with Stu right in front of our bench when I was playing for St. Louis, and Reed was a tough dude, man. And
I played with him.
Yeah, they squared off, and he was a pretty smart fighter. It seemed like he didn't get hit, a ton, and Stu got loose, and next thing you know, Reed's on his back, and he was out, and 2 seconds later he snaps up, and he goes, "Why'd they stop the fight? Why'd they stop the fight?" And I was just like, "Oh my God, man, that is a scary deal."
Would you ever see the wires cross off the ice, or was he just a gentle giant?
Nope,
and
never.
That's
never
fucking crazy how you could just turn it on like that.
Yeah, happy-go-lucky guy, great around town, amazing with his kids, just sweetheart of a guy.
I thought maybe if you pulled a prank on him, all of a sudden you saw that guy you saw on the ice that the opponents get to see.
I don't think I would pull pranks on him off the ice. It's one thing on the ice if you can get away a little bit, but I'm not going to be able to run him off the ice.
Yeah. I got to ask you this one, though. So You were the first ever player suspended by the NHL, NHLPA for substance abuse policy. It was a 20-game suspension. That was in 2007 for anabolic steroids, but you still deny it to this day. It never happened. What happened?
I suppose this is a good time to tell the truth. I did it.
Okay. All right.
Do these look like steroid arms? How about the pit stains, by the way?
Yeah. Maybe you should put the Botox instead of the fucking juice in there.
Yeah. But no, honestly, so at the time I was on a TUE, therapeutic use exemption, because I had low testosterone. And so, I'd get tested and could use and be in a certain range, right? So as soon as the guy called me, I'm like, hey, do you know I'm on a TUE? I'm allowed to use testosterone because most women produce as much testosterone as I had before getting the cream. I was like, no, this is something else. This is boldenone.
Jack 3D.
Ultimate Orange.
Yeah. And if you went through our locker room, like you guys, Biz, you probably were a big bird watcher and we're checking that guys out.
There we go. He's alive.
Well, they still had their gear on. And I mean, I would have been probably the 12th to 15th guy who you'd be like, yeah, I bet he's on something. I mean, but you know what? They take the sample, then you got your B sample. Of course, that's going to be, the same as the A sample. And what do? No idea how it happened. Took a lie detector test with a guy who worked with the FBI that did stuff with terrorists, did stuff with mafia.
Meet the Fockers.
Yeah.
The Meet the Fockers tour bus pull up.
Exactly, yeah.
Hey, you were calling me the bird watcher. Look at this guy, Whit. Any player that he's ever played with, he doesn't need to see their face, just see their cock.
No, just one year. Just one year at
one
BU.
season? Oh, okay. Well,
like when they get pulled through the wall in what movie was that?
There's
our movie
like
guy.
That. There's a lot of them like that.
Yeah. Oh, Porky's in the locker room, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Sorry.
I thought you were talking about the glory hole.
You were talking about action movies.
Biz was talking.
Tommy Turner. He had a mole on his prick.
I was talking about the glory hole.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But going back to this, so did they offer the lie detector, or did you say, I'm pleading my innocence, put me on a fucking lie detector? I did not take anything other than what I was prescribed to take.
At the time, I went out and did that independently on my own. So I did the obviously they took the B sample and then I appealed it, and the whole appeal process is going on behind the scenes basically. So, basically the advice for me was do the appeal. It'll buy you more time. You'll play more games. And then at the end of the year is when it hit. So I played in the playoffs and then it came out at that time.
They never rescinded it. You spent the whole 20 games suspended.
Yeah. So it was one in the Island and then 19 with the Wild the next year. But I mean,
what'd that cost you?
In Long Island, I was playing, I was 37 years old. I was playing over 20 minutes a game, playing in the top four and had a good year. And not that however you look at it, it cost me, a fair amount of money probably. And obviously then the next year I went to Minnesota and that didn't work out great. But, it's one of those things. There's not many things in your career where you look back and you're like, how the hell did that happen? I'd love to know exactly what happened, what caused it. But, fun deal. When I went and did the appeal, it was Bill Daly was there, and there's a couple girls that were lawyers, obviously, and they're sitting in there, and my career's on the line, basically, and they're passing the phone back and forth, giggling, looking at their phones and stuff. I was just like, said,
probably brought them in to get the tee up, the low tee up.
Yeah, I'm sitting here watching my career go up and woke, and they're fucking going back and forth.
They got the push-up bras.
They're looking at their OnlyFans.
Yeah,
they're probably passing the thing back and forth, looking at dick talk. TikTok.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Early
what
days,
did that cost you? What'd you lose in salary?
I don't even know. I mean, that the year on the island, I was making $600, so whatever, a few games of that, and then the next year I wasn't, I was league minimum in Minnesota. Happy to have somebody sign me after, to be honest with you, but I probably, who knows, do you get a 2-year deal instead of a 1-year deal, or without the black eye and that type of thing. But I was looking back, and I'm lucky I played as long as I did. I had a solid career. It just makes you wonder, like, what the hell happened, you know? Kind of like Biz when you were playing with Whit against Colsey and Willie, and you couldn't find your ball, and you knew it was like in the edge of the fairway, maybe rough, and you're like, I can't find it. Where is it? And it's like, at the end of the day, you just want to know where it is. It's okay. Whit won the hole, but you just want to know where the fucking ball is.
Yeah. Maybe Stu spiked one of your drinks.
Oh, boy.
Maybe one of the guys pranked you. So I was just going to continue here. So you went from playing with Anaheim, and all of a sudden you go to a team that was expansion a few years before that in Ottawa. Bit of a shit show. You guys didn't win many hockey games. That must have been a bit of a dumpster fire.
Little bit of a skid there. Yeah, exactly. I went back to Duluth in the summer, and the trade happens, and I see some guy who I've known for years, older guy, you know, and he's like, "Hey, Sean, how was Anaheim?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's good. It's good. I enjoyed it." He's like, "So you just got traded to the Auditors." I'm like, fuck, it's happening in one hometown. Calling me Auditors. Yeah, so not many games won up there. Some good times, some good teammates. But yeah, not a lot of W's.
How much of a mental challenge is it playing on a team like that for 3 years? You know, just getting beat almost every night.
I don't know. Some people say it's a character builder. I think it's a kick in the balls. But you know, you just try and find ways to get better and find ways to stay positive, and you know, small victories here and there, and then roll with it, and hopefully you'll win more games and find ways to play better. But it was. You know, it's never any fun being on a shitty team. To do it for a few years in a row kind of takes a little shelf life off you, probably.
Was that rink always in Canada, or were you guys playing in downtown at some point?
No, when I started, they were still downtown, and I was with the team when they moved to Canada, and you know, that was I'll tell you what, we had to drive 35 minutes or whatever, but to actually have a rink with electricity and running water and stuff like that, and that was an amazing change.
The downtown arena was that bad?
No, I mean, it was one of those things where it's like, you know, it's where the 67s played, and
shit, that was the NHL barn for a few years. I totally forgot that.
Did you dangle in there, Biz?
Oh, I couldn't even fucking see because those bright light. They got those TV lights in there, and you're just like on the bench, like But no, I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't dance in there, but I did play in there a couple games. Kilray was still the coach, but that's interesting. So you got to experience both sides of it. Now, I'm sure initially you guys were probably drawing well though, because it was a new barn, new setup, or no?
Oh yeah, no, it was. I mean, the atmosphere was great in there. It was, you know, a small barn, and you know, obviously to get a team back in Ottawa was great. So it wasn't a problem with support down there. It was great atmosphere, you know, kind of probably similar to what the Yotes are doing now with the smaller building. Hey, you gotta remember, I lived out there for 10 years. I was the Yotes fan. So yeah, I mean, you have create demand, put them in a small box like that, and the people are going to come out. And you know what? It was, at least we had that going. When we moved out to Canada at first, you know, once it died off, there wasn't, I don't want to say it was poorly attended, but definitely wasn't full, and they weren't, you know, on top of you.
Also played with Alexander Day in Ottawa. If he was like fully committed, I guess, you know, he didn't take it as serious as people thought he should have. Would he have been at least an all-star if he kind of fully committed to everything?
Yeah, it'd be pretty special to be an all-star. You know, amazingly explosive. I don't think his hands and his mind could keep up with his feet, and not many people's could. The way he jumped, I mean, he could jump like, you know, McGillney and these type of guys. He was that good a skater. But you know what? I give the kid credit. He came back and reinvented himself. You know, got back in the game after being out of it, and was a really good checker and scored some goals. And you know, I think that says a lot about his character to be able to do that. As you know, he took a lot of heat for being that high a draft pick and you know, not producing like they expected him to. But you know what? He was, at the end of the day, is a good hockey player. He wasn't. Did he play like a first overall? You know, there are probably a bunch of first overalls that he played better than. But you know what? Was he what a first overall should be? Probably not, most people's eyes. But I give the guy credit. He came back. He worked his ass off and came to be a very dependable player in the league, which is saying something, especially after being so high up and thought of so highly, you know.
I think 11 years later, he ended up getting 20 goals from Minnesota. Right. So it's like that is a lot of the times what we talk about, and just reinventing yourself, and him doing it after getting kind of carved apart.
Right.
Yeah, like it's not a true bust. I hear what you're saying.
Right. Do you think some of that was maybe brought on himself because of the amount of money that he demanded off the signing bonus? Like, was it an added pressure? And how long after that whole ordeal had gone down did you join the team?
Was he number one pick in '94 or was it '95? I don't remember. All right,
92.
Yeah.
90.
Oh yeah,
second overall in '92.
I just called him my first fact check if anyone's keeping score.
Yeah, you got like a few lifelines on our podcast.
I like that. All right, you were on top of that, by the way.
We're gonna give you. You still got your double dip. Don't burn it too quick.
All right there. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if he brought on himself by. I guess you can't blame the guy for. They gave him the money. You know what? I mean,
yeah.
What are you gonna do? But I think obviously there's gonna be a huge amount of pressure being that draft pick with a new franchise like that. I don't think no matter what he did, no matter how he handled it or, how much money he got, I think he was always going to be dealing with a mountain of pressure. But you know what, like I said, he battled through it. He came back and, just to be able to do that, I think that shows a pretty high character person.
Absolutely.
Actually, I got to give myself a -1. I was looking at the page of the guy I wanted to bring up next. Alexei Yashin, he was second overall. Dag did go first overall in '93, but Alexei Yashin, he kind of seemed like a mysterious guy, quiet guy. What was it like playing with him? What was he like on the locker room?
Turtlenecks.
Yeah,
he was
and models.
He was models. He had the models. Strange dude. Like he was kind of like the big happy almost panda bear guy, but always. Never serious. And you're like, come on, Ash, man, we need you tonight, And I mean, skilled as a mofo, like so skilled. Could hang on to the puck. You couldn't get it off him. He's 220 pounds. You're like, yeah, Ash, we need you tonight, buddy. You gotta be good to me. Yeah, I'll be good. I'll be good, Phil. I'll be good. One of those. And you're like, fuck, come on, man. Just tell me you're gonna be, And when he showed up, he was amazing. And when he didn't, you're just kind of like, dude, did he pay $250 for the open skate and grab the towel and be done with it or what? But when he wanted to go, I mean, he was big, strong man who could skate, soft hands. I mean, he was something.
It's a little frustrating sometimes, especially when you get to the bigger games. And if he's the highest paid guy and supposed to be the leader on a team, usually everybody follows, right? So you get the result from all these young guys coming in, seeing that and rubbing off on them.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely one of those guys where like if you could have taken a quarter of some of the guy at the bottom end of the team's heart and put it in his, I mean, look the fuck out. Now, here we go. But, it's hard. I can imagine being the coach and trying to, get a guy like that motivated and to see the bad side of it and just probably go home and pull your hair out and just wonder, like, why won't he play? Why won't he play?
Well, he's putting all his energy into Models 5 holes. How could he bring it to the rink?
Yeah. That's I mean, he was
legs.
Oof. Yeah, he was. I bet he was working harder there. I mean, it seemed like that. The results were better. I mean,
hey, breaking news: Yashin was a pimp. Posted, G. Make sure you get Hill's photo on there, though. Direct quote from Sean Hill.
I think the last time I saw you, I don't know if you remember it. It was came out to the Phoenix alumni event. Very gracious guy. I don't think you were playing still. I think you were just, obviously the big TV personality. And you showed up at, I think it was our Christmas alumni deal.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you were having a great time. I kept trying to find you to shoot the shit with you because I heard all this great stuff. What a guy, what a character. And every time I'm like, where's Biz? And someone's like,
probably outside smoking dope. That's probably where I was.
They said you were in the parking lot with some gals, and
I was
like,
here we go.
I was like, jeez.
It was a bang bus.
That's a lie. I got square wheels, man. I got nothing. I ain't nowhere near Yashin's level.
I don't know, man. They said that you were out there and you were showing them the forecheck. You were getting it deep.
Oh, yeah. I was showing some for.
You were getting in there and hammering it. You were getting it deep.
Yeah. Snuffleupagus. What else you guys got? You played for, 20 teams? You were a bit of a suitcase here. Who else did you play for? Let me check your head.
You just got to be out there with enough teams, and then you get traded, and you're like, well, they wanted them. There's got to be something. We want them. We'll take them. We'll try it. Year or two and get out of town. It's over, Shelf life. You got to buy fresh groceries, dude. You don't want the shit with the preservatives.
Well, this next place we're about to talk about is where you did most of your damage. And the Carolina Hurricanes, probably some of your best numbers in the National Hockey League too. So you finally got back to that offensive game from your college days.
Yeah, it was great when I got traded from Ottawa to here. Another place where I got to start out in a different rink. We're in Greensboro, living in Raleigh, driving 80 miles for the home game. Much less than driving, or much worse, I should say, than going to Canada. But I was used to it, so I was effective at it, But Paul Maurice was great for me. Lucky enough, he was one of the guys who looked at the stats and called me in the office one day and said, why you're putting up numbers in college? Like, what's going on? Why haven't you been putting them up here? And I was like, I think I threw the role card out there. I haven't really been putting that role, and it wasn't too long after that, he started giving me a shot. He said, do you think you can still do it? I said, I don't know. Let's give it a shot, So he was great for my game, great for my confidence, and, saw something in me that other coaches hadn't seen for a while. So
yeah, he was younger than some of the guys on the team, right? He was 30, 31 years old at that time, right?
Yeah, he was younger than some of the guys on the team, but you know what? He's found a way to be a great coach in the league for a long time, and great motivator, great speaker, knows his X's and O's well. I mean, he could do anything, whether it was chew your ass or pump you up or, anything. He was good at it and still is, obviously.
That was the first year down there. They had relocated from Hartford. What was the atmosphere like? I mean, hockey was new to the area. It wasn't probably well known. Did fans, were they clueless? Was the atmosphere good? Tell us what it was like in Greensboro.
At the start, it was slow at the start, bit of a slow burn. It took a while for the fans to catch on. And I can't remember what we averaged in Greensboro. It was one of those deals where, whether it was 7,000, 9,000, the fans that came were great. I mean, they were passionate. They were loud for, the jumbo school bus that they rode in on. They were great. I mean, they were fired up, ready to go. So, but once we got down to the new building and stuff, it kind of turned a little bit, and that's when things started taking off.
And after that, you're a free agent. Was that your first time being a total free agent, the summer of 2000 when you signed with the Blues?
That was the first time being unrestricted, which was, good experience and coming off a really good year in Carolina. So, I had a feeling, I knew I wasn't going to be going back to Carolina. They basically said, we know we can't afford what you're going to get, which, I don't think they were really in the upper tier of teams spending money at the time. So, but, I ended up going to St. Louis, and, Dallas Drake and I basically signed at the same time. He's a guy I knew from college. He was an amazing college player in Northern Michigan, and kind of we're talking a little bit throughout the whole thing, and was interesting. But, so I ended up in St. Louis.
Did you have many offers?
Yeah, there was 5 teams that were in it. But it was kind of St. Louis, I think, they came out strong early, and basically, I kind of had a feeling right off the bat that I was going to end up there.
Anyone who would be willing to offer you more than league minimum.
Exactly.
Was it intimidating going into that St. Louis locker room? There were so many legends in there. I mean, Tkachuk was in there, McInnes.
Yeah.
Who else was still there? Was Pronger still there?
Chris Pronger was a good hockey player.
Nasty motherfucker too, eh?
Oh my gosh, yeah. He could get a piece of chicken out of your teeth with the tip of his stick, untie your skates, then go top shelf like it was nobody's business. I mean, he was amazing. Yeah, that was a good team. Probably one of the best teams I played on. Made it to the semifinals of the Western deal, but didn't work out. And I wasn't, when I went there, I think the plan was that I was going to play behind Pronger and McInnes, and in the top 4, and I was excited about it. Great team, obviously, and backed those guys up, and probably played 22 minutes a game somewhere in that area, and have a big role. And never really worked out like that. I had a sports hernia that I played with for the last 15 games in Carolina. Had the surgery at the end of the season, and then it just wasn't right at the start, and kind of struggled out of the gates, and didn't really kind of catch my stride till towards the playoffs there. And odd deal. It was almost like Quenneville didn't think. I shouldn't say didn't think. It was almost like maybe Quenneville wasn't on board with them signing me or something. And, during the year I was playing 16, 17 minutes a game, but then in the playoffs, started playing a bunch. So I was thinking, okay, in the playoffs I played with Pronger a lot. And I'm thinking, okay, this is going to work out. I'm going to go back the next year and things are going to be great. And my wife and I both loved it there. Great sports town. Love the guys on the team. So I was thinking this is going to work out. Next thing you know, get going again. And I'm playing, 16, 15, 17 minutes, wearing my suit under my gear so I can get out quick and get the jump. No, not the jump then. But anyways, I'm hardly getting a sweat. And I'm like, this is not fun. And it doesn't matter what money you're making. I was just like, this ain't working, Was
Pronger like an in-your-face type of captain, like not afraid to call guys out, a little more laid back?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, he could get in guys' faces for sure. For sure. And a lot of times it wasn't in the face, but just snide comments. I mean, he's a smart dude, and he knows when to throw zingers, and it wasn't really like in your face, like get your shit together type of thing. It's more like a smart comment or a zipper here or a shot there, and where the guy goes, okay, he's put me on alert, and I've been warned basically type of thing,
With so many strong personalities in that dressing room, you ever get in a practice fight? You ever get in a practice fight?
No. I found out early on in my career that fighting wasn't going to be a big part of my game. I think Gord Donnelly. I think Jeff O'Neill has a great. I can't remember who Jeff O'Neill fought, and it was like some fighter. And after the game, I remember a reporter said something about, "Wow, Jeff, so you fought whatever," and O'Neill goes, "I did not fight him. He fought me."
Yeah.
So I had a little bit of a tussle with Gord Donnelly one night when I was a rookie in Montreal, and he I don't think he ever hit me in the head. He hit me in the helmet, and it cracked my helmet, and I was like black and blue here, lost my contact, and of course I got him where I picked him up and threw him down, never missed with a punch or two, and that's where I got my first sports hernia from, picking up. He probably weighed 235 or something. And so basically that told me right there that I don't know if this is something that I want to be taking part in, So, but the guys in St. Louis, their practices could get heated. There's a few times when there's, maybe a little bit of a dust up got started, but most of those guys were, pretty intense, but realized they didn't want to be breaking knuckles on helmets with their own guys type of thing,
How excited were you when you at least, if you like St. Louis, which everyone seems to love playing there, but at least when you were gone, it was back to Carolina, so something you were familiar with, like that had to make a difference.
No, yeah, it was. I was excited, put it that way. I remember I was rooming with Mike Keane, and we were in Phoenix actually. We were watching a little TV, and 2:00 comes around. He goes, "You good?" I'm like, "Yeah." So he shuts off the TV, have our 2-hour nap, and all of a sudden, phone rings, and Keener's got no filter, and he's awesome. The phone rings, ding, ding, and he's like, "Who the fuck is this?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, okay, Joel. Yeah, Joel will send him up." Hangs up. He goes, "You're fucking traded."
You?
Yeah.
Oh.
So classic biz move. I pulled the robe out of the old closet. Ritz Carlton is what it was. Put the robe,
fucking A.
pincher up, elevator up, knock on Joel's door. "Hey, Sean, how you doing?" He goes, "Larry's on the phone for you." And I said, "Oh." I said, "What's going on?" And he goes, "Well, he's got a trade lined up. Obviously, you have to, okay it with your no trade clause." And I'm like, okay. And he puts me on the phone, and Larry Plogue, super nice guy. "Hey, Sean, we got a deal done to move you back to Carolina." And, I gave the joke, "Well, okay, yeah, let me think about it, and I'll talk to my agent, whatever." And inside I'm going,
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so,
would you have said no if it was somewhere you didn't want to go?
I don't know at that point. I mean, I wasn't playing anywhere there. I might as well go somewhere else and play a lot and have some fun, and that type of thing. But I called, they gave me the number for the Carolina team services, and I called, and I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" Whatever. And they're like, "Yeah, great. Okay, so we got a flight for you tomorrow morning." And now, remember, it's like 3:30. And And I'm like, you don't have anything that you can get me back tonight? Well, yeah, there's nothing. I mean, we got this 11 o'clock red eye. And I'm like, yep, I'm on it. Really? And I'm like, put me on the damn thing. You would have thought I was in purgatory, And I got back to Carolina, obviously the next morning, straight to the rink. And they had lost a bunch of games in a row. Obviously, they must have been desperate to have to try and get me back, right? And so I walk in the room. The guys are walking around with their heads down. And I'm like, hey, guys, what's going on? And they're like, we lost the 6 in a row. And I'm just like, who cares? I'm back.
Yeah,
So
let all your problems be gone.
Yeah. I'm actually going to have to shower after the games now. I think.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
Hey, so
watching is back.
Hey, another thing too, though, back then, no social media. It was pretty lethal sometimes when guys had no trade clauses or no move clauses, because like the coaches and team would start treating you like shit. So you'd eventually just say fuck it and waive it.
Right. Yeah, I mean those things. Sometimes they're good, and sometimes probably they're not. They just mentally torture you with it. But it was great to get back to Carolina. It was like I had never left, and great group of guys. Mostly the same guys, and Paul Maurice was great. I got there and he pulled me in the office right away. He was like, we were playing in Florida the next day, or it was either Florida or Tampa. I think it was Tampa. And he's like, so how are you doing? And I'm like, fuck, I'm better now, a lot better. And he was like, yeah, it wasn't good. I said, nah, it just wasn't working out, And he goes, are you in shape? And I said, I can ride a bicycle. And he's like, okay. And he's like, what do you think for minutes tomorrow? And he goes, do you think you can play 20? And I was like, yeah, I think I can play 20. He goes, 22? And I'm like, yeah, I think so. But I said, how about we just get her going and I'll let you know if I'm, need a break or whatever. And someone was asking me about it a while back, and I had someone look it up, and it ended up being like 27 and a half minutes.
Whoa, games one back? Holy shit.
Yeah.
Iron lungs over here.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys ended up having quite the Cinderella run all the way to the Stanley Cup final. A Detroit Red Wings team, 9 Hockey Hall of Famers on it. I think people might see a 4-1 series win, but that series is super close, man. You had outstanding goaltender from Herbe and Weeksy back then.
Yeah, it was a great run. I mean, you talk about our team was playing a great team game at the time, and we didn't have any like total superstars, but Ron Francis, obviously a great player. Rod Brindamore, Roddy was awesome, amazing. We just had a bunch of guys that were willing to play, the right way and that type of thing. And I think if they've ever come to a point where they give out 2 cups, one for mortals and one for aliens, I think we definitely get that one that year. I mean, Brett Hull scored a goal in that series. We won the first game in Detroit, lost the second one. Game 3, we're up, with under 2 minutes left, and Hully scored a goal with I can't remember who took the shot from the point, but it was probably going 2-3 feet wide, and gave her one of these and tipped it back, crazy tip, and we ended up losing in triple overtime. So, another situation where obviously they had amazing players, and it was going to take something crazy to beat them. But, to be up 2-1 at home, obviously would have had a better shot, but they were so good. And it was probably about a 1.3% chance we're going to beat them. And somehow it didn't happen.
I was at game 3. I was at that game.
Do you remember that time when I had that one-timer on the power play and they split it over and I shot it high and wide, but it was so loud on the glass, Whit.
It was very loud. You sound like a 9-year-old when he's like, I hit the glass, Dad.
Yeah, do you think he actually remembers a shot where you hit the fucking glass at this game 3 when he was, how old were you?
He had a wide open net biz.
I just wanted to fucking talk about it. I got good with him.
Oh, okay, there you go. Okay,
He got a cannon off.
What a bully.
I remember that.
Cyberbullying me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's coming from the guy who's juicing.
Who got his own lie detector test.
Yeah.
One of my buddies said after that was, far enough away, in the rear view that they could laugh about. They're like, hey, you know what? Just so you know, if you ever do the juice again, you actually have to work out if you want to benefit from it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I would love to see this independent lie detector guy that you hired. Just like one off Craigslist. Would you look at the phone book?
No, I found them in the classifieds. Back when people actually read newspapers.
Yeah, phone books too. Yeah, Larry Yonoff got that goal. Whit, you said you were at that game, Whit?
It's like Miss
What?
Cleo / Private Eye / lie detector.
All right, let's get some tape over the guy in the upper corner there.
So
Were you really at that game, Whit?
yeah, I was at that game. It was for like the guys who were supposed to go high in the draft. Jay Bowmeister, myself, Joffrey
Sean
Loophole,
Podine, Sean Hill.
I don't know if Rick Nash they might, but yeah, we got to go. We were in the locker room in both teams like after pregame skate. I remember Eiserman, he didn't skate. He had ice or heat on his knees and he was limping around. I think he was basically playing bone on bone. But it was an incredible game. I was in the corner that Larionov skated into after he tucked that goal. It was wild.
I'm surprised that you were able to stay up that late being that young.
Yeah, well, we had beers, so we
That's
were
what the
giving
Coke's
beers.
for.
Whoa.
What did you do during the lockout? Yeah, you didn't play, did you?
A lot of golf.
There you go.
I did a lot of Herbie's goal line, blue line, goal line, red line, goal line, blue line, all that type of stuff. And then 18 to 36.
Where were you living?
Right here, Raleigh.
I love it down there. I actually think it's because when I was hanging out with Willie, we played the day before at Old Chatham, and then we did the Sandbagger. I was like, this is good living down here. He's like, it's awesome.
It is. I mean, it's not obviously Florida, but there's definitely a lot of days every month where you can play golf. What was that jersey you had on, Biz, during that match? Was it Trashers?
Yeah,
have you seen that doc?
AJ Galante gave it to me.
Oat milk?
Donnie Del Negro gave it to me. Donnie Del Negro.
Oh, man. Mike Rupp got a bag playing for that team, didn't he?
What do you mean?
Oh, yeah.
I
There
don't
for
know.
the Trashers.
Yeah.
I mean, you say a bag. It wasn't what your signing bonus was with the one-way, but I think he made a decent amount of coin while the NHL was shut down.
For the U-Haul or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah.
It was fun. It sounded like a fun deal. By the way, Whit, I was watching one of the episodes the other day, and you're talking about worst putter in the league, and you went on a Bubba Gump. Any league, NHL, AHL, USHL, you went through them all. I was like, this is right out of Bubba Gump right here.
ECHL, yeah, exactly.
It was impressive. You went down the line. I think you did it all the way till you stepped on the next tee box.
Yeah, I was listing
Whit
the third
complaining
division
about
in
his putting?
Sweden.
No.
Yeah.
Actually, I wanted to go back to Anaheim. I know people love the jersey today, but what were the guys saying about it back then? Because it was basically like a Disney cartoon character on the crest of the jersey.
Wild Wing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wild Wing. I mean, I don't think there was any other team in the league wearing eggplant for a color at the time. And I remember that the crest of the jersey is almost a little bit padded. It was different. It was different. But I don't know. Bombay was a good coach. He was a good coach.
Yeah, the check's cleared, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly.
Well, I was just going to ask, you played your last year overseas, and what was that experience like? Did you figure, hey, let's go play less games and enjoy it a little bit more and make a little bit of money on the way out and get to enjoy the breaks and go visit Europe?
Right. Exactly. I'll tell you what, it was an amazing experience. The year before my last year in the league, I was in Minnesota, and tell you what, if I knew that it was going to go like it did in Minnesota, I would have given my left nard to be in Switzerland for 2 years. Jacques Lemaire was not a big fan of Sean Hills at that time. I remember I went in his office and asked if I could talk to him. He goes, yeah, come on in. And I walk in and he throws his legs up on the desk and puts his hands behind his head and he says, so what is it you want to talk about, Sean? And I said, well, last year I was in Long Island and played, a fair amount of minutes. And I said, I played, over 20 minutes. I said, I'm not asking you for that, but if you can give me maybe 2-3 more minutes a game, I think I could show a lot more. I was 38 years old or 37 years old and hardly getting a sweat. I'm like, it's tough to get the wheels going, and he kind of rubbed his forehead and he goes, let me get this straight, Sean. You want me to play you more and you play better? And I was like, well, and he's like, nope, that's not how it works. You play better, I play you more. And I was like, okay, this meeting's just about over. And I tried to package it up a little different way and throw it on the table and see what he did. And fucking
nothing, shut it down.
Got in the car, phoned my wife. I'm like, this is going to be a shit year, honey. It's going to be rough. She's like,
That's
really?
when you know.
Oh, God did I know, yeah. And I was just like, man. But I'll tell you what, if I could have had 2 years in Switzerland instead of 1 year in the torture chamber, it would have been a lot of fun, man. I loved it over there. 52 games, sleep in your own bed every night. longest road trip was probably 3.5-hour bus ride. Friday, Saturday game. Every once in a while, I throw a Tuesday at you, and amazing food, great guys. Breaks, like you said, you go to Italy, Germany, France. I mean, it's just great experience for my kids. My kids went to international school. My oldest at the time, what was he? He would have been 11. My daughter was, she was like 7, I think. They went to school with kids from kindergarten to grade 12, like 50 different countries because of the embassies and stuff, So it was amazing experience.
You were at the Islanders for 1 year. How much of a circus was it there? You had Milbury trading guys every other day. The owner, Charles Wan, kind of a little off kilter sometimes. What was that year like? Did it affect the guys in the room, the team, or you just kind of tuned all that shit out?
Actually, Milbury was not the GM. It was Garth Snow.
Oh, okay.
Garth Snow, and Ted Nolan was the coach. And we actually had a pretty solid team. Made the playoffs first time in a while. We had a pretty solid team. Rick DiPietro was playing great, and that's then. And we had some great characters on the team. Mike Sillinger was on that team. Great guy. Love him because he played for more teams than I did.
Yeah, he played everywhere.
He did. Between he and I, we have probably most of the teams covered. But it was actually a good experience. When I went there, I was like, all I knew was the area around the Coliseum, and I was like, I wasn't expecting much. And Long Island was, a lot like Minnesota. I thought it was amazingly beautiful and good people, and we had a good time.
DiPietro, he still has 6 more years, $1.5 million a year, biz, on that buyout deal. Freaking sweet deal he signed there.
That's a hell of an agent right there.
That's Absolutely. A long way from fucking doing what I'm doing, kind of got to put all the chips in one pile and then start spreading them out for the month. And meanwhile, guys like you making big cream found a way to sit around in the locker room. Come on.
Oh, yeah, that's what you think happens? That's it?
Well, you got to do other fancy stuff for it, or, stuff on your...
you can come shadow me for a week. I think you might want to hit more of that testosterone, though. Make sure you get the good premix in there.
Yeah, it's like Baxter when he ate the whole wheel of cheese. I'm not mad. I'm impressed. I'm happy.
No, I'm just fucking ball busting you, man. I'm just fucking with you, buddy. We appreciate you coming on and shooting the shit with us and breaking it all down, man. Hell of a career. We appreciate you coming to share all the stories.
Good fun, guys. I appreciate it. Look forward to watching more of you guys.
This interview is brought to you by Chevy. Chevrolet is a trusted company that has been innovating for the last 100 years. Up to now, most electric vehicles have been either too expensive, too small, and or too limited in capabilities for most people. But Chevrolet is committed to making EVs available for all Americans. They have over 1,900 certified Chevy EV dealerships. You hear that? 1,900 locations. Because Chevy, EVs for everyone, everywhere.
Huge thanks to Sean Hill, man. I thought that was a hilarious interview. We went like an hour and a half. That guy had an unreal career. Poor guy. Imagine going from Anaheim then to Ottawa, but still won a Stanley Cup, had a great run, so hopefully everybody enjoyed it. Whit, I wanted to ask you about this Kenny Holland clip that was making the rounds. He made the trade call to Tyson Barrie. I wanted to ask, because you had a couple of those calls. Is that standard operating procedure? Like, how are your calls like that? Were they
why don't we roll the clip so people have some context?
Hey, Tyson? Yeah, I've traded you to Nashville. Okay. So they... so I want to thank you for everything that you've done for us. And I hate these days. I hate that you're a good man and you've been a big part of our team. But we're getting Ekholm, and you're going to Nashville, and Ekholm's coming here, and they're getting a couple of first-round picks. Okay. So thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Obviously, a bit disappointed for me. I wanted to see it through here, but I understand your guys' needs, and I hope it works out for you guys. So I appreciate everything, and it's been a pleasure getting to work with you, and I wish you guys all the best.
I appreciate it. Same with you. I wish you the very best, and thank you for everything. You've been a big part of our team. Thank you. On and off the ice. In the leadership role and on the ice. So thank you, and I know that you just want to get the news, and good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Tyson. Bye-bye.
Yeah, so I when I first saw this tweet go out, I kind of saw responses like, "Oh, why do you have to drop that? Why do you have to put it out there?" And I didn't really understand why, because once I watched it, I thought it was a mutual respect between both people, and I think Kenny Holland was very nice in what he told Tyson Barrie in terms of what he meant to the team off the ice, on the ice, how important he'd been on the ice, and how so many guys looked up to him as a veteran and a leader off the ice. And Tyson Barrie, same thing. He kind of mentioned, I wanted to be a part of this, but I understand it's a business. So, I mean, that's pretty standard in terms of like the call that comes that most players don't want to get. I don't think Tyson Barrie wanted to be traded. He sees what's going on in Edmonton. He was a big part of that power play, the best power play in league history. And so to see it go down that way, you kind of realize how much of a business it is. It's just a quick phone call. He hangs up, and that's it. You're on to kind of talking to the GM in Nashville. You're talking to the trainers to get your gear over, and the Nashville guys, need to know what you need. So it just ends so quickly that it is kind of hard to fathom when you're in that situation. I've been there. My one with Ray Shero, I'll never forget. I was in my mom's hospital room. She was going through a lot, going through a really tough surgery. Got that call, and he was the man. Ray's a great person and was very kind of complimentary to me while also saying, what had to be done was done. And then also I had one with Bob Murray, the biggest asshole that maybe I ever dealt with in the NHL, who basically just hung up on me. I hated his guts. So I think it can go
How'd it go?
way,
How'd it go? Can you go through it one more
he's
time?
like, I traded you. I'm like, where? He's like, Edmonton. I was like, fuck you. I didn't say that, but that was it. Literally. He's like, I traded you. I was like, where? Edmonton. See ya. That was literally, it was 3 seconds.
Come on.
Me. Yeah, that guy is something else.
Nothing
dude.
else?
Every time I bring up how much of an asshole he is, I get text after text. Oh, Whit, that guy sucks, from players, staff members around the league. Just a full-on bully, this guy was. So I think Kenny Holland did a good job, and I think Tyson Barrie was very professional in getting that phone call and kind of laying out where he was coming from, and I had no problem with it at all. I think fans also are interested in like the off-ice side of the
Big
business
time.
of hockey.
I love the fact that clip got out, especially because it was so positive for both guys. And people are probably curious, like, how does it go down? It'd be fun if we got your Bill Murray one, though. Or what's
Bill
that?
Murray. Bill Murray's way cooler than Bob Murray.
Bob Murray. Yeah, you imagine you got Bill Murray to do the call. I would pay large dollars to hear the call between Bob Murray and you.
Everyone calls Bob Murray Murph. Hey, Murph.
Yeah.
Guy would look you in the eye and not even say hello in the morning. Like, okay, dude.
Have you heard
so
of
tough.
any other bad ones? Any ones where that were done in person where maybe like there was like a violent altercation?
I don't think so. I've never heard of one like that.
I'm thinking of one business.
What was the one this year that the guy was so pissed off?
It was Huberdeau on Zito. I heard he told him. He said, "Fuck you." Click.
Yeah, maybe that's. I thought I was thinking of another one.
Listen, I read that on Twitter, so it might not be true, but for the sake of the podcast, it's got to be true. It's got to be true.
Do you think you guys could trade someone? Do you think you have it in you to? It's like firing someone. Like, do you think you have
I
it
would
in you?
trade you in a fucking heartbeat right now. Like, hey, good job these past couple of years. You've been moved to foreplay.
That's so fucked up to hear, Whit. I'd take a bullet for you, and you know that.
Yeah,
and you just trade me like that.
Hey, it's a business. Imagine I traded you for Cullinane.
It would have been very easy. Fuck you, and I'd hang up.
Yeah, he'd give you the Huberdeau treatment. You do remind me of a Zito, Whit.
Hey, you know what? We got to give Zito a little bit of props. As you mentioned, everyone dogged his trading of Uyghur and all those that offense he gave up. But yeah, me. But he knew Montour was this good. He just needed the minutes. So maybe I'm the asshole. As that woman said, I look like an arrogant asshole. So I understand.
Can you read that letter 3 more times to finish off the pod?
Hey, Mary.
Biz, it wasn't trade talk, but when Keith Jones was telling us when he was about to retire, and Bobby Clark was like, "Well, Jonesy's done."
He started the press conference. Jonesy's done.
Oh, fucking hilarious, man!
It's like Costanza and Seinfeld when he's like, "George is dead," or no, what's his name? Who was the GM? Steinbrenner. George is dead.
That call, too, you got a good sense of like the type of guy Tyson Barrie was. I mean, it was only 35, 40 seconds, but he was just like, going from a team with playoff and Stanley Cup aspirations to a team on the outside
great
right
Nashville,
now.
too.
Yeah, he's been fucking
Your heart
lighting it
breaks
up.
for the guy because he was with Colorado, and you knew they were going to get their cup at some point, and now you leave another team that's primed and ready to win another one.
Were you about to say Edmonton's going to win a cup too?
I think that I said it earlier in the pod. I think they're one of the best teams in the West for sure. They look very strong. I would put them as a top 5 team for sure. And with those two guys, who I also view it as, I think every league wants their big stars to eventually win one. And I'm not saying that pours over into getting calls, but I think that it might play a subconscious factor in them getting calls. Going back to the Crosby rule the other night where he had goaltender interference, where 99.9% of the players are getting that called back, where in his case it's not. I think it's happened in basketball. Basketball, it's way more easy to control a game if you're official. I just think that extra call here and that extra call there will help out in the long run. And I think that these two players are poised for a run where they're going to maybe potentially get a little subconscious aid. How's that for an answer?
Subconscious aid? That's a fucking doozy of a term. Yeah.
I've been working for 9 fucking days. I can't make up words.
Well, I mean, it doesn't. I don't think that matters on this show all that much. Another note about McDavid. He took the 4th fewest games to reach 300 goals and 500 assists. He got it done in 563 games. The only guys better, Gretzky, Lemieux, and Peter Stastny. So, again, every week there's something new with this guy, and those are the names he's putting himself among. So we got to give him props. Also, dude, his brother, Cam McDavid, we met him in St. Louis a couple years ago. Great guy. His dad, Brian, as well. He did an interview, and I was shocked. Like, people act like they'd never seen the guy before. Cam, I mean, Connor's been in the league for 8 years, and people are like flabbergasted that how much he looked like his brother. Were you kind of taken aback?
I mean, where would they have seen him?
I mean, Edmonton obviously probably has, but yeah, I don't know. I guess for a guy who's been in the league eight years, I was kind of surprised that
if you haven't seen them, they're identical twins without being twins. It's actually when we met him in the box that time at the All-Star game, I was kind of taken aback right away. Same voice too, but yeah, that was a good interview with my boy Gene, the master of puns.
You know who he's named after too, right? What?
Cam Wham Bam Neely.
Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah, the old man used to be a Bees fan back in the day. Now, obviously, an Oilers fan. Tough break, man. Derek Brassard, just a horrible injury the other day. He kind of bumped the goalie. His skate got caught. He fell backwards. You knew it was ugly. He ended up getting surgery for a broken fibula. He went to camp on a PTO, signed the 1 year for the veteran minimum. 13 goals was his most since 2017-18 season. He was in 62 games this year. Basically his best season in a long time. Big part of the team leadership, and he was having a healthy season. Just, I mean, your heart goes out to this guy to get back in the game, 35 years old. I don't know. If you're at that stage, Biz, if you get hurt, should we expect him back in the league to battle back? Because guys like to go on their own terms, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I believe earlier this year he celebrated his 1,000th game. And the players presented him with the Rolex. It was a very emotional day for him, man, because I think that at a certain point, as you mentioned, things did tail off where he probably didn't think he was going to get to reach that milestone. So, RA, I mean, with the resiliency he's had so far in his career, I would say that I would imagine that he's going to make try to make a comeback and get back to the National Hockey League. But, you know, at that age, when you suffer an injury like that and as nasty as it was, you just never know. Oh, it's gruesome stuff and a shitty way to end a very positive year for him.
What's wild too is that's how the Rangers got Zibanejad, who's turned into a stud. It was for Derek Brassard, so an amazing trade by the Rangers then.
Yeah, that was like Joe Theismann level Whit. I don't know if you saw the play. You watch it once. Yeah,
I can't even look at that stuff.
I used to love that shit. Yeah, when I was a kid, I loved like morbid shit. Now I can't watch any of that stuff. Yeah, and one other note here: Chicago Blackhawk Jonathan Toews. He made his return Saturday versus New Jersey. First game since January 28th. Had an assist in 14 minutes of ice time. I don't know if you saw his quotes. He basically sounds like this is definitely the last run with Chicago. Don't know if it's going to be more than that. And his coach, Luke Richardson, they asked him about Toews coming back, and he said, quote, he's like, well, it's not going to be perfect. It might be ugly. And Richardson said, well, we're a little bit ugly right now, so you'll fit right in, which is kind of a funny quote. So, I don't know. This guy's such a legend of the game, Toews. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame someday. And does it feel to you like he's kind of doing that one last lap, looking around and sort of soaking everything in right now?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. And once again, I got to go back to me, like quickly saying he wasn't going to be in the Hall of Fame. I backtracked on it in 0.3 seconds, but just an all-time dumb statement by me. That's a Hall of Famer. No ifs, ands, ors, or buts. I think that's the statement. He also gave an interview prior to coming back. It was a little emotional. I think he kind of talked about how hard it's been, how awful he felt in terms of it's just difficult even to get out of bed. It's been this way for a long time for him with the COVID and the long COVID and how many things he's battled through. And you talk about Brassard, maybe this is the end for him, and you talk about Taves, and it just goes to show, like, no one gets to go out. Rarely ever do you get to go out after Ray Bourque the way you want to, after the dream scenario of winning the Stanley Cup or having an amazing season and retiring. It just doesn't happen. And so to see a guy like this who's an all-time great, one of the best Blackhawks to ever wear that sweater, kind of end like this, it is difficult. But he had a beautiful assist that game, so I was happy for him.
Well said, Whit. I mean, like we said, the guy's going to the Hall of Fame, and yeah, I'd be surprised if he come back. And this, like the what's a long COVID? He's got like some autoimmune thing as well that's like real mysterious. The doctors aren't able to figure it out. So obviously, we wish him the best of health. One last note here before we go to our second interview: the Rangers extended Philippe Hedl 4 years, $17.75 million, average annual value about $4.4 million.
What a deal!
Yeah,
what a deal! I mean, this guy's having a career season. Last year in the playoffs, he had 7 goals in 20 games. And to have him locked up for a few years at that number, I mean, I don't think any Ranger fan would be surprised if he hits the 30-goal mark next year. And if you're able to kind of continue to keep this core together by guys like that taking a little bit less, I'm not saying he could have got a ton more, but you now have this guy who's a goal scorer locked in at that price. That's a great deal for Kris Drury.
And because of all that other high talent around the team, I feel like it's given those younger guys, the kid line, some opportunity to develop where there's a little less heat on them. Sometimes these young guys come in, the expectations are so high just because they're a first, second overall draft pick. I don't think Hedl was, I think he was more middle first round, right? But either way, these guys are contributing, and they're going to be a big piece if they want to make a run for the Cup. They were huge last year when they needed them. Specifically this year when the two top lines are getting neutralized, when you could provide that secondary offense. And I know we're talking about Hedl here, but did you see Lafreniere's goal the other day?
Between the legs one?
Between the legs. Like
sick.
They're starting to fucking bring their own, man. So very a very good deal for the New York Rangers.
Yeah, Biz, he went 21st overall back in 2017.
Yeah.
So, Biz, you sat down with a couple of the players in the NYPD FDNY game that we're going to be broadcasting. So you think we should head over to that now or what?
Yeah, man, these guys hate each other. The interview got a little awkward and chippy. These guys are not going to be playing tummy sticks out there, although they are buddies off the ice. I'm looking forward to it, and I think we should send it over.
Before we go any further, here's a word from our friends at Muggsy Jeans. The most comfortable jeans, chinos, and joggers ever made. Perfect for guys with thick thighs and big behinds. The stretch, softness, and flexibility are life-changing. It's also perfect for hockey players. You know those hockey players, they got big thighs, big butts, whatever. These pants are perfect for them. You got to get some Muggsy jeans if you are playing hockey. Also, they are the proud official apparel sponsor of the FDNY and New York Police Department Hockey Heroes game coming up April 15th on Long Island. Made from buttery soft, patented stretch materials that look stylish but are insanely comfortable. Hands down, the greatest jeans, chinos, and joggers ever made, and they're 10% off now using the code Chiclets at Muggsy.com. That's 10% off absolutely ridiculous comfort that will cause you to never, ever wear anything else again. And, oh yeah, they're fully backed by a 100% comfort guarantee, meaning every single order gets the free shipping and free returns if they don't fit or whatever. Try out a pair risk-free today and see why over 16,000 guys have changed their lives with Muggsy. Use the code Chiclets at Muggsy.com for 10% off.
Chiclets fans, it's been a while since I did a solo interview, but it was a must considering I'm in NYC and we're about, 10 days out from the big game. And it's probably one of the biggest things Spittin Chiclets has ever done in the history of the pod. And we want to welcome in 2 guys that will be a member of the FDNY NYPD hockey game going on April 15th at UBS Arena on Long Island. And I can't wait to get the background story, but let's welcome in our guest first, Ryan Dermody.
Yes, sir.
I nailed that one.
You got it. You got it good.
And Johnny Perretta.
Yeah, baby.
Now, Ryan plays for the NYPD, which is, or what do you guys say, the finest?
Finest, yes.
New York's finest.
That's right.
And Johnny over here plays for the FDNY. So I guess, first of all, thanks for coming on the show, guys. So I guess I'll start with you, Ryan. So how did you even become a police officer?
Just went to college and needed a job and took the police test, and here I am.
Here we are.
That's it, man.
And how long have you been on the squad?
12 years.
Okay, so you've been there a while, and this
Veteran,
is the 49th year that this thing is going on.
Mm-hmm.
And Johnny, how many years have you been involved?
Around 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
So you're a newbie.
Yeah, newbie.
But the reason we got you two guys is on the 20th anniversary of 9/11, you guys ended up having one of the most iconic scraps in the game. What brought that up, and how is the animosity right now as we sit here?
Well, he kind of took a shot at me at the end of the game, and we had to like settle it.
Yeah, I think it was very kind of organic. We were going at it throughout the game, and yeah, we got tangled up in the last few seconds of the game, and we handled our business.
So since being involved in this game, has every year been chippy? I mean, you said you're a 3-year veteran of this game. Were you prepped on what to expect coming this? And why does it have so much violence associated to it?
I think it just comes along with the pride that each of us have with our jobs. So we have a tremendous amount of respect for each other off the ice, but once the puck drops, there's no friendships and there's no love lost.
And you guys are the young stallions on the FDNY, and you guys are unbeaten in the last 5 games now?
Yeah. So we're looking to continue the streak. So in the next coming weeks, so we're
Ryan,
excited for it.
What's going on here? What's with the losing streak here?
I mean, they're very arrogant over there. It's kind of like...
Here we go. Now we're cooking.
Well, I
now
mean,
we're cooking.
let's call it what it is. I mean, these guys work 6 days a month, and we're over here doing details and protests, and they're going food shopping at the Pathmark down the block. Like, come on.
I would say that's a huge advantage because most times you guys are at the hall, you guys are cooking healthy meals for each other. You're in some cases getting pretty good sleep, and then you are getting the time off. Or these cops, are, they do have a tougher schedule.
Yeah, I'm not really sure there's any truth to that. I think a lot of the guys on the cop team took the FD test. Didn't really go so well for them, so that's why they're stuck being cops.
Okay, all right. Now the floodgates are. What do you think about that, Ryan?
I didn't take the FD test. I don't want to be a firefighter. And the guys that ended up going to them, they couldn't handle being a cop. So
There's actually a height requirement. That's why I ran into some trouble for Dermo.
It's crazy because given all the hatred and animosity, you wouldn't expect that this game would donate so much money to charity. Now, which charities are you guys backing, and how much money have you guys raised in this 49 years?
Like I know we do like the Widows and Children's Fund. I think they do the Ray Pfeiffer Fund. I know there's other ones involved. I don't know as far as which ones they are, but I mean, it's a lot of money, like you said, that goes to this stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, like we may not like each other. I mean, that's fine, but like it's for a good cause, and obviously doing this is for the greater good.
And you're with the Pfeiffer Fund?
Yeah. So
what's your connection to that?
Yeah, I was recently appointed to as a board member on the Ray Pfeiffer Foundation, and it's a fundraising charity that we go hand in hand with the hockey team. So it's all first responders who have been affected by like World Trade Center related illnesses. So whatever they may need in their time of crisis, when they're sick, whether it be, wheelchair ramps, home aid, stuff like that. So the hockey team works closely with them, and we work closely with a lot of families like that had that suffered a tragedy. So we have a bunch of them in the locker room pregame and present the families with checks, and I think it just goes to show the game's, bigger than each one individually of us. And that's why we play,
That's amazing. So you've been involved for 12 years here. Like, what are you guys doing differently as far as training in order to prepare this year, considering you guys have been on this massive swing?
Just the same, sticking with the same, like systems and, just working hard and, just trying to, at some point, it's going to, might not work the last few years, but I mean, their run's going to end very soon.
Do you get nervous playing in front of that many people?
No.
Not at all, eh?
No.
What about you? I mean, you're only 3 years into that.
Yeah, only 3 years. The first game was pretty nerve-wracking, and even last year I did a little bit better with it, but, we're all in the same boat here, so, the guys in our locker room are great guys, and we're all, fighting for the same goal, so I think it's nice to go through it with the boys.
I was pretty shocked when I went to the game last year at how much skill there was in this game. A lot of greasy, a lot of off the glass and out type guys as well, but there is some skill. There's going to be a lot of new viewers for this game this year because we have the broadcast. Who are some people that the fans should look out for?
Yeah, so talk about some of the FD guys like Matt Zay, played at Mercyhurst. He's a great hockey player. Vinny Lopes, and then some older guys, our captain, Hans Becker, Jim Becker, another great player. We got a ton of skill guys. And then we have some new guys coming up this year, so it should be very exciting for them.
One of the players you mentioned is best friends who played at Mercyhurst with Dan O'Donohue.
Yeah.
Jeez, I'm always fucking it up. It's like a made up name. I actually played with him with the Portland Pirates when he played a little bit in pro. So what's it like having guys on the other team that are buddies here?
I mean, like you said, once the puck drops, it's a different story. We're not friends. We're trying to win a game, and there's 18,000 people. So I mean, I don't have any friends on that side during that game.
Yeah,
so
you seem pretty hardcore, man. Like, like this interview started and you kind of flipped the switch.
Yeah, I mean, I just
you come on, Benny. The cameras are rolling, baby.
No, I just we want to win. We haven't won the last few years, and it means a lot to us. Our family's there, and it's a grind. We're doing this for started in September. We're practicing twice a week. We're playing games every week. And then we still got a full-time job.
Well, you guys don't play as much as the firemen because you guys are playing an 82-game schedule, I heard.
It seems like it.
We work a lot more than they do. So it kind of like...
Well, you've already explained that, but it seems like they're just training harder and preparing more for this game. So maybe it comes down to personal accountability on their side where they seem to be coming up with a lot of excuses.
Yes.
And maybe that's the reason they haven't won the last 5 matches.
That's what it seems like. I mean, you ask them about the training regiment they're on. They're kind of doing the same old things. We're playing a pretty rigorous schedule, and the boys are getting ready for it. So we look to continue with our winning ways.
Who are you playing in an 82-game schedule? Like, who are
you
all
guys
these
do some travel as well? You
yeah,
went to
do a bunch of travel. So we there's a senior A league out west. So we've went to Colorado a few times this year, Reno, Nevada, and we just got back from California a few weeks ago. So pretty rigorous schedule, and we're excited to get the ball rolling.
When you say rigorous, when you're on the road on these trips by the last game, like, are you guys going out as a team and getting banged up?
Yeah, of course. I think that, it's all, life's about the balance, right? So we're working hard on the ice, so we're going to have some fun off the ice and really, it's all about the team bonding biz, I'm sure you know.
Well, even Grinelli was saying, we went to practice with New York's finest today, and he says, doesn't this make you miss being part of a team? I said, absolutely, just the banter in the locker room. So is that what's most important to you guys, just keeping that camaraderie maybe that you once had?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you guys do like a rookie party or anything for the new guys?
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty entertaining what we have,
What'd you do this year?
I don't know if we could talk about it. Just take them to the restaurant and
How tough is it to make the team for the new guys? Like, when are tryouts? How many guys are trying out? I know you guys have healthy scratches and stuff, but what is the process?
Yeah. Is it a seniority thing? Because I saw a few of the vets with beer bellies out there. Where maybe if you got some young guys on the squad, maybe you keep up with these firemen that are training for triathlons and Ironmans.
The tryouts are in September, and we get 50, 60 people to try out every year.
It's kind of like a participation medal thing,
Yeah.
You show up and you could walk right into the first line center role, whatever you want.
Wow. Okay.
He's not having it over here. You're a little tense over here. You gonna respond to that or no?
I'm gonna waste my time with them right now. We'll deal with it on the ice.
Well, listen. So I watched that fight back from the 20th anniversary of 9/11, and I would say you did well early on, and you guys were chucking bombs, but Perretta ended up coming up on top.
All right. Well, I guess round 2 is going to be in 2 weeks.
I would feel bad asking, is this something that could maybe happen off the opening face-off? I don't want to initiate a fight here. I don't want to premeditate anything where it comes a little unorganic. But is that something that could happen? Or you don't maybe seem like the type of guy who would get the start?
I probably won't start. But you didn't start either when you played.
I did not. I did not. But you know what? My father was a volunteer fireman for 30 years. So
let's go.
My heart right now is leaning towards the FDNY.
Love
and it's
that.
not because I don't respect you guys. It's just more of my father did it. Mind you, he was a volunteer and he just showed up every Wednesday to booze at the hall. And he didn't really do much firefighting. But nonetheless, he had the gear in the back.
Okay. All right. It's cool. You're kind of leaning that way anyway, so it made sense, But It's all good, Biz.
I think we're the more relatable team. I mean, we're a bunch of, good guys, hard workers. We want to fight for each other, and we like to get after it off the ice also.
Yeah, no, it does sound like a great group. Brian, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. They could be the heroes. It's all cool. I mean, whatever. They'll be disappointed in 2 weeks. So
You're definitely feel like at these games, do you guys feel a little bit underappreciated, or is it a 50-50 crowd mix? Where does it lean? Because most games in the past have been at MSG, correct?
Yeah.
Where this year it's going to be on Long Island. So
yeah, as someone who was in the crowd last year, it did seem, and online as well, it does seem as more people were pulling for the FDNY. Do you guys embrace the villain role?
Yeah, I mean, if it was up to me, you could put 18,000 FD fans in there. I'd rather have that.
Wow.
Love that.
Okay. You like walking into enemy territory.
Absolutely, Biz. Yes.
So another reason maybe for this this losing streak / would you guys tie one game? You've lost 4 of the last 5. One ended in a tie because they booted you guys off the ice because they had a basketball game to play. The Knicks.
I know. 8 hours later.
You guys should have solved that in a Rochambeau match or something like that.
Flip cup or something.
But do you feel like it's because every time you're going into wherever you're going into, you're playing an away game?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we're not really appreciated, which is fine. I mean, it's just kind of the climate we're in right now. So everyone likes the fire department. So it's all good.
Yeah, I mean, we're a likable group, so that makes sense.
All right. Well, I'm done stirring the pot here. There's probably a few more things about charity that I got to mention.
I had one question. It's like, I'd love to hear, what do you guys each do? What? There's so many different positions in the NYPD. There's so many different, I don't even know if there's so many different positions in the fire department, but what do you guys do for your job? What's your day-to-day routine like?
So Dermo's a meter maid.
A meter maid?
Yeah.
This guy rescues cats and parks. Stop.
Some folks might be like, what the hell's going on? This is a charity game. This is the type of shit that you're going to hear on the ice, folks. There's zero tongue.
Yeah, you better start micing some guys up because they'll be entertaining. I do auto crime, so I deal with stolen cars. Anytime there's a stolen car, we get a report. We kind of investigate it. We'll see where it goes from that. It's like a plain clothes, a non-uniform. And, that's basically it.
Is it tough to manage the hockey schedule with that schedule?
No, I'm good with it. I have enough time on where my unit's pretty flexible with that kind of stuff, which is great. Some of the new guys, it is what it is. They can't just do mutuals like the guy over there.
What's mutuals mean?
Oh, I don't know. They work once a week and then they work twice a week the next. I don't know.
They're on sabbatical.
Yeah, it's all bullshit.
Yeah, they're wearing the breastfeeding boobs at the hall to feed the other guys.
Really.
What's your schedule like, and what do you do specifically? Are you the guy in the back of the truck that helps with the ladder? There's a lot of cool things you could do as a fireman.
A lot of great things. It's a great job. We're all very lucky to be on it. So I'm a firefighter. There's a few lieutenants on the team as well. That's the next promotion. So there's some lieutenants on the team. In terms of the positions you kind of referenced, it's different every tour you work. So we work 24-hour shifts mainly. So some days you could be on the roof, some days you're on the forcible entry team. It kind of varies in that aspect.
So you could at any point do whatever job there is there, other than be lieutenant, of course. But that's something you're striving for personally?
I'd say, it'd be nice to maybe get promoted one day. But right now I'm enjoying where I am. I'm in, engine 280, ladder 132 at Crown Heights, Brooklyn. So, that's going great. And I'm just going to enjoy where I'm at right now.
Do they make you do a calendar, like all the guys in the place to sell to the ladies and make a little meal money?
No calendars for us. No.
That's just kind of a myth that they talk about in the movies.
No, that is done on the fire department, but not by us. That's for sure.
If there was one guy in the team you deem as the guy to do the calendar, who would it be?
Oh, that's a tough one. Probably Matt Zay. He's got
he's always the guy after the game in the mirror a little too long.
Yeah, he's kind of like the the superstar on the team, I guess. He's got
shaves his chest.
Yeah, he got the balloon head going on.
He's doing the spray tans like Whit.
Yeah, he really runs with it.
Has a good gram too.
Yeah, he's got the gram going a little bit. He's on and off, but.
Who's the prima donna on New York's finest, where you're maybe a little concerned about him in that realm?
Oh.
Like a little too into himself with the looks and
you know what? I'm a team guy, so I'm not going to sit here and roll my guys under the bus like
the high road,
Johnny
the high
would do
road
over there. But I can't answer that.
I like it. Ryan's starting to warm up. You're starting to warm up, buddy. We were joking around about like maybe some stuff that you would do to like rookies, like on the force or whatever. Like, is there any silly stuff, or is there any like pranking going on, like maybe Marc-Andre Fleury would do in a hockey locker room?
Yeah. I mean, we do like funny shit. Like, well, you know, like I don't know, throw tape in guys' bed, like stupid shit, you know, but nothing like where guys are like getting upset over it. You know, I mean,
like plowing their old ladies.
Yeah, not that I know.
Yeah. No, I mean, there was just that story that broke with the you know, I'm sure you guys have heard about it. The one girl who was married to the guy on force, and then next thing you know, the whole force was just plowing the old lady.
No, that's a Minnesota problem, or wherever it's Memphis, wherever that happened. Yeah, not here.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good. That's good for team camaraderie.
Yes,
at least.
No plowing wives.
Gee, is there anything else you wanted me to mention specifically here?
No, just watch the documentary. Comes out April 5th at 6 p.m. Eastern time. The game, 5 p.m. April 15th. We're super excited. Thank you guys for stopping by the show, and thank you guys for letting us broadcast this game. We want to put your game on a big platform, and I think we're going to do that.
A couple things here, too. Wayne Gretzky said that he wants to come on first intermission, and thank you guys personally for everything that you guys do for the state of New York. And then what was the second thing I was going to mention? Oh, predictions. What are you feeling for this game? The score? How do you think it's going to go? Maybe bring us through the wave of emotions of the game quickly.
I mean, I think we're going to have a couple fights probably at some point. You know, I mean,
couple L's.
I mean, we're talking Frank. So I mean, Derek Kern, one of their all-star players, gets challenged by Jimmy Hall every game.
Oh no.
Oh yes.
Jimmy Hall's only 5'6" too.
And he brings it. And Derek Kern gets off the ice and he goes and cries in the corner every year.
Does he actually provide offense because he stays on the ice and doesn't engage with the meathead?
So he doesn't like to bring this part up, but we have a lot of guys, a lot of skill guys, you know. It doesn't really benefit us a lot to fight. You know, we're the better team on paper, I'd say. I think everyone could agree with that. And we kind of just have to keep our nose clean and put some pucks in the back of the net that we're worried about the extracurricular activities.
Yeah, so you take care of business on the score sheet, and then towards the end of the game, much like on the 20th anniversary, that's when you take care of the fist.
Exactly. Nice, you know, in a perfect world, we would like to get the lead, and then we'll start pumping guys' eyes shut.
Wow. Okay.
Score prediction for FDNY.
It's gonna be a tough one. But you know, I gotta go with the FDNY. Obviously, we're gonna cover the puck line, -1.5.
So what, like a 4-2?
I'm gonna go 5-3.
5-3.
Yeah.
Ryan, what do you got? You guys like to muck it up, so it's got to be low scoring on your side.
I'd say 4-2, New York. You know, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it, folks. April 15th. Anything else we have to mention before we sign off?
April 5th is the doc. April 15th is the game. Everyone tune in. Shout out Chevy. Shout out everyone else who sponsored.
Guys, before we go any further, I'd like to talk to you guys about our friends at Dunkin'. It's hard to decide what the best part of a Dunkin' run is. Is it the coffee? Or is it the $1 donut? Or the $2 stuffed bagel minis? Or the $3 sausage, egg, and cheese that you can add to that coffee? Or just the simple fact that you got to leave the office? The answer, of course, is all of the above, and yes. With the NHL playoffs approaching, I'm constantly on the go and drinking coffee. Between TNT, Spittin Chiclets, the Yotes, my hiking, the workload doesn't stop. But being able to get some Dunkin' makes it all worth it. It's not just the coffee, too. The mini bagels, the donuts, and the classic sausage, egg, and cheese keeps me fueled up and ready to go. And we know the boys can be pretty picky with their coffee. Luckily, Dunkin' has so many different variations. Everyone can get their coffee exactly how they like it. Time for a Dunkin' run. They have great deals on food for $1, $2, or $3 with medium or large coffee. America runs on Dunkin', and it's a $3 offer available on sausage, egg, and cheese sandwich only. Excludes specialty, donuts, and fancies. Offer valid on medium or large coffee. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer. Terms apply. Folks, I've said it once. I'll say it again. America runs on Dunkin'.
Great job with those guys, Biz. I cannot wait for that game, April 15th. It's going to be a riot that night. John Perretta, Ryan Dermody, thanks so much for doing the interview with Biz. Can't wait to see you guys knock the shit out of each other in Long Island. Coming soon. Biz, a couple mistakes last week. I think the group effort, we have conversations that pop up spur of the moment. Just want to tell the fans, Darcy Kemper was traded to the Avs. He did not sign there. That was one. And Seattle selected Jared McCann from Toronto, not Pittsburgh. What happened?
I knew he was in Toronto.
But he never played, right?
No.
Did he ever play for him?
No. The Pens traded him to the Leafs 4 days before the expansion draft, so he never suited up as a Leaf. Then that's why I was confused on that one.
It was to protect Kerfoot, because if they didn't grab him, they thought that they were going to snag Kerfoot. So when they got him, he became the guy that was vulnerable. And fuck, whoopsie daisy. Nothing against Kerfoot, but McCann's having a year, buddy. He's having a year.
Unreal. And the Mario statue we were talking about, he was not split in two North Stars. Like I said, it was two Islanders, Rich Pylon and Jeff Norton from a 1988 game. But if you watch the clip from the North Stars, I think it was Game 2 of the 91 Cup, Sean Chambers and Neil Wilkinson, it's almost a carbon copy. And then Connor Bedard had a goal pretty much the same way this week. So
Connor Bedard, I guess Regina is big-time underdogs against Saskatoon. They're up 2-0. The first game he had a goal and 2 assists, and I think the second game he had 3 goals and 2 assists. So we keep talking about him. I can't wait till the draft lottery night. Somebody's entire organization is going to change forever. But, I mean, now they got a 2-0 series lead, and, I mean, I don't think anyone expected anything out of his Regina Pats team. So it's kind of amazing to see that this kid continues to light it up at a record-setting pace. So that lottery night, people's fortunes will change forever.
Yeah, I can't wait till he gets in the league. Going to be unreal. League's already awesome. It's going to get even better with him. This clip that went viral the other day during the Dodgers game, this fucking idiot runs out into the field, and instead of doing the zigzag thing and getting a chase off the security guys, he stops in center field and kneels down, and he's doing a proposal. It's like, fucking shit me, dude. Security guard bundles him, hits him like a fucking hit stick tackle. And people online were like, oh, he was assault. That was excessive, blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, they don't know what the fuck someone's doing. And wait, I would say it's more suspicious when you stop and like pull something out of your pocket than if you just keep running. Like the security guard doesn't know what fucking the guy's going to do. It's not like people propose in center field during the middle of games without permission. The guy bundled them. I don't know. He ended up getting, I guess she said yes, but he's going to get arrested or at least charged with trespassing. But what was your take on it? Did the guy hit him too hard or did he have it coming?
Honestly, the ring's got to be so shit. If you're getting engaged at a sporting event, you're buying a shit ring.
Oh yeah, fugazi.
Because you're trash.
Oh,
and I did see some people saying that's assault. It's like, dude, if you run on the field or on the ice, like you're getting crushed by either a ref or a player. That's how it goes. Nobody has any clue what you're doing or what you're capable of doing. So you could have just gotten on your knee on top of the Cracker Jacks in the bleachers and proposed to your girlfriend. You run onto the field, you take the risk of getting truck sticked by a security guard.
And not to mention,
Army said it best. Like that guy could have reached in his waist and pulled out a gun.
Right.
You have no clue what's going on.
That was the smartest comment in the group chat. And do it at your own risk, because 50% of security guards are just guys who have roid rage, who are just waiting for something like that.
That's their dream.
You could accidentally bypass the girl where you got to put the $5 cover in the jar, and next thing you know, you're in an arm bar or you're getting choked out. And those guys are just waiting for that opportunity. For in a situation like that, no, you're fair game. They're waiting to tackle you. They're waiting to do something and get out their roid rage. So I would advise not to go on the field in any manner, even if you're going to go run and try to juke the guys.
Yeah, like comments like, oh, he could have tapped on his shoulder and just escorted him out. It's like, what fucking planet do you live on? It's like, that's not how the fucking world works, you know? And if he did have
whoever said that has to be like 16 years old. Like, there's just any adult to think that a security guard is going to be like, excuse me, sir, can you follow me to the jail? No.
Yeah.
You're getting truck sticked.
Yeah. Oh, he saw the ring. He knew what was going on, as if like that's a fucking common way to propose.
Yeah, he probably bundled him because he saw how shitty the ring was.
He went to fucking Jared's. Whit Dog, big weekend for you. The Masters are coming up. A lot of different menus over the years we saw. What would you, if you won the Masters, what would you serve next year for your dinner, Whit Dog?
I love starting a meal off with some sushi. I'm a big sushi guy. That'd be a nice little beginner. I mean, also the options for salads. I mean, maybe you even do a buffet. I know Keith Yandel says if you eat a buffet, you're an absolute piece of shit, but sometimes I disagree. So like sushi and salad to begin, and then I'm a big steak guy. You know, I like New York strips. I like ribeyes, but basically give the guys their option for a nice steak. I'm a mashed potatoes guy. Maybe even throw like a little pasta in there. I mean, you can make up whatever you want. So a little angel hair on the side with some broccolini that's crispy.
I think you've hit your limit.
I don't think so. It's Augusta National, bud. The limit never comes.
You could have 16 main courses. You could have 16 main courses. When's the lobster coming?
No limit. Augusta National and your last meal on death row. Explain how you get to choose what you want to eat when you fucking murdered someone. You got a sentence coming for death for murdering someone, and they give you the option to have whatever you want to eat. Fuck that. You murder someone and get on death row, they should give you the worst food imaginable the night before you get killed.
My assumption is that's not the case, and that doesn't even happen in today's society on murders.
RA?
Is that still going on, RA? That's an urban legend at this point, correct?
Dude, the marathon bomber gets like fucking internet and like everything. I think they hooked those people up for some godforsaken reason.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's urban myth, biz, or what.
You're the jail guy, all right? Come on.
I know, but there's no. I mean, who still has the death penalty? What, Texas and a couple other fucking like southern states? There's not.
Oh, is that pretty much gone everywhere? I thought a lot of states still had death penalty.
I mean, there are a handful, but yeah, I'm not sure on that. Actually, you know, we used to have it.
Well, you just said who has death penalty still.
No, I know, but there were way more states that don't have it. But Massachusetts did actually. We're right across the street where Bunker Hill Community College is. Whit, you know the bridge that they call it the Prison Point Bridge.
Yes.
That's because Charlestown State Prison used to be right there, and they used to execute prisoners there back in the day, and the whole town's lights would dim when they were fucking burning.
Like the Green Mile.
Yeah, a little bit like that.
So Biz, I would finish it off with my favorite dessert in the world is Morton's Godiva warm chocolate cake with vanilla ice cream. And for anyone who, a lot of restaurants have that, and they always tell you you have to order it when you order your meal. I don't know if people know what I'm talking about, but restaurants that have the hot, like molten lava chocolate cake with vanilla ice cream, they'll tell you have to order it. It's a scam. They do that because they want you to order it before you're full from your dinner.
Oh, wow.
It doesn't take them 15 to 20 minutes. They just know that they might sell a few extras if you order it before you're all stuffed from your steak and baked potato. So that's just something, but that's my favorite dessert. I'd probably finish it off with that and maybe the option for a warm, while also somewhat crispy chocolate chip cookie with vanilla ice cream. So there's my master.
You were chirping me about beating the pot last podcast. Holy shit. Augusta, it's going to be a 16-hole course after your meal. Fuck.
The course just bought like a road and put the tee on 13 back, like 40 yards. They literally, I think they bought land from the country club that is like touching them or they share land. And then they bought the road from the town and then still somehow made the tee longer. So this is the best week of the year for me. You know, getting away from the NHL playoffs, nothing gets me going like the Masters. So many storylines going in. Obviously, number one is these live guys, including that asshole Brooks Koepka, complete donkey. Once again, I'll remind you, so many caddies I know have just heard horrific stories about him. Just an absolute clown. But he's one of the guys on live that'll be there along with the other former Masters champions like DJ, Patrick Reed, another scumbag. So I think that having the first time this year with live and PGA Tour players together, it'll be all four majors. That's the case. That kind of makes it the one time or the four times all year that the best players in the world are together. That along with Rory McIlroy trying to get the Grand Slam. And for every year that it goes by, it becomes harder and harder for Rory to get that Masters green jacket. You know, the pressure gets higher and higher as you get older and older. But he was in crazy form a couple months ago. Let's see what he has. I like Jason Day. Everyone's kind of thinking Jason Day and Justin Rose. They're going to be my two top 20 bets. They both play very well there, and they're both playing very well right now. Justin Rose won at Pebble Beach this year, so those guys have had success at Augusta before. Dude, right now it looks like rain Friday, man. That's the day I'm going. And last time I went in 2016, we had tickets to Wednesday and Thursday. Wednesday got rained out, so I mean, I'm going down. We're playing golf in Savannah on Thursday and then driving up Friday. So I hope you know it doesn't get rained out. But just an amazing event. I think I don't know who said it online. It was some article, but apparently the Masters app is like the greatest app on earth. They have figured out a way to be like that good in terms of like showing every hole, every golfer. You can go back and watch every single shot hit by every golfer in the tournament. So that's pretty amazing. What else do we have going on in the Masters? I like Spieth to play well.
And people for the Live situation, if I'm not mistaken, 15 golfers from Live are going to be playing in the Masters, have been inviting. If you're a past winner, you get the automatic invite, but 15 total have qualified. Do you know the number?
I don't know if it's. Did you see 15? I didn't think it was that
I was
many.
talking to Wayne, and he seemed to think 15.
Oh, I trust him.
Yeah,
and
he's going to be going too, so maybe you'll run into him.
Yeah, so the Masters will be. It should be amazing. Right now, it looks like Friday, Saturday, Sunday's all bad weather. Let's hopefully. Be hopeful that switches and you get some nice weather and they can get it finished on Sunday. Someone asked me if it's ever been a Monday finish in the Masters. I don't remember. I'm sure there has been, but. Yeah, the tournament's going to be great. I'd love to see Rory get his Grand Slam. That would be an amazing storyline. I'd love Spieth to be involved. John Rahm's been as good as anyone, away from Scotty Scheffler. So there's just so many different storylines. Golf's at an amazing place right now because there's so many superstars that could win, but I can't wait. Thursday morning, you get right on the app. For some reason, I don't think you can watch on TV till like 3 o'clock Thursday and Friday. That's when ESPN starts their coverage. It's CBS on the weekend. But now you can get right online and see every guy hit every shot. So it's going to be amazing.
Beauty.
Savannah's a great town. You've been there before? Whit?
No, I've never been. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's a good time down there. Let's see.
Tons of new Pink Whitney golf merch, too. Whit's wearing the hat right now. I'm wearing the hat.
So I have a white hat, Pink Whitney, with the floral arrangement. And the
That's
Whitney.
my
There's
favorite Pink Whitney logo of all time. I have it on my golf head covers.
They have a green one of these, too. A green lid with a white rope across it. So that's a pretty sweet look, along with some Pink Whitney golf T-shirts. So check those out if you feel inclined. I think it's some top-notch merch that we sell around springtime every year. And before we finish up, did I mention the show Shrinking to you guys?
No.
Not yet.
So 2 shows, both Apple TV I just watched. The first is Shrinking. Quick synopsis, Jason Segel's the star in the show. I've always liked him ever since Forgetting Sarah Marshall. He is a shrink. He's a psychiatrist. He works with 2 other people, one of them being Harrison Ford, who's awesome in this show. The other's a woman. I don't know her name, but she's great. Jason Segel lost his wife in a car crash, so it's kind of about grief, but it's very funny as well. A great show. I think there was 10 or 11 episodes, finished that. And then I hopped into Keith Yandle's recommendation on Apple TV. It's called Blackbird. Real, true story. A guy, I don't know, I think this maybe was in the 90s. I'm not exactly sure, but he goes away. He gets 10 years. He's a drug dealer. And the FBI comes to him, and they say that your sentence will be gone if you go into this other prison in, I think it's Missouri. And there was a awful human being, scumbag murderer. He was killing girls, and they knew it was him, but he was going to get out on his appeal. They knew he was going to win his appeal. So his job was to go into prison, get to know the guy, and get him to tell him where the bodies were buried. And so the fact it's a true story, it's only a 6-episode season, and it was amazing. The end of episode 5.
How would they have entrusted in this guy? Did the guy know him previously?
No, he didn't. But this guy was like, he was just kind of like a salesman, like super personable, could talk to anyone. They knew he had the ability to possibly get close to this guy because of how successful he was in all these different relationships he had in drug dealing. So it's a pretty dark show. I'm not going to lie. There's not much comedy. And like I just said, the end of episode 5 is pretty tough. It's like some emotional stuff, but I give the show an A+. It was amazing. So there's 2 recommendations. So the first one's funny while also being very emotional. The second one's dark, but it's amazing TV. So check those both out on Apple TV if you want.
Yeah, the acting in that with Taron Egerton, he played Elton John in the Elton John movie a couple of years back.
He's great.
Phenomenal. And Paul Walter Hauser, who played the fucking alleged serial killer in jail, that guy is fucking phenomenal. Everything he's in. He was Richard Jewell. Remember the Richard Jewell movie a couple of years ago?
I knew I recognized him.
Yeah,
I knew I recognized him.
He a couple shows. He was on like Banshee. He's been in a bunch of things. That guy is unbelievable. Awesome actor.
Yes.
Also, Succession come back. Are you a Succession guy, Whit?
Yes, I am. I've watched the first 2 episodes. I thought the first episode of season 4 was one of the best episodes of TV ever. Like that show, that's a good fucking TV show.
I've never started that. That's probably
buddy.
So I tried Yellowstone, and I just couldn't. I lost interest. It didn't draw me.
I tried that. I tried it once and then went back a couple years later and really got into it. So sometimes it's where you're at, headspace. I know you've been.
Should I bring my iPad to Jackson and watch it?
Yeah, if you watch it at Jackson,
Okay.
you know, maybe just the scenery will get you into it a little bit more.
All right.
Yeah, it should be a great week, guys. I mean, like I said, the Masters, this crazy Calgary Winnipeg game on Wednesday, along with many other playoff implications. So
Chiclets doc on Wednesday as well. The NYPD FDNY documentary comes out on Wednesday as well. So if you
and I think Friday or Thursday we're dropping Chiclets game notes. So you haven't heard from Merles and Army. They're going to be down in Tampa at the Frozen Four with Grinelli. So Chiclets game notes coming to you on Thursday. And we got Final Four for hockey. We got Masters, and we got big-time NHL games. So best time of the year for sports, if you ask me. And thank you so much for listening. And thank you, Veterinarian Mary, for giving me that wonderful letter. I appreciate that.
And with the boys are going to be at Hat Tricks in Tampa Thursday at 3 p.m. So if you're in the area, come by and hang out with the boys. Enjoy some Frozen Four. Have a fantastic week, everyone.